Konnichiwa everybody and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft on the JFS. Oh boy, it's been a little while. I've been away, I've been on holiday, can you tell where? And I thought I'd come back on the server and have a little look around, have a little yap about my recent holiday to Japan and just see what's been going on the server. I feel like I've missed out on tons since I've been away. It was a 2-week trip, but it just feels like, I don't know, I'm a stranger on this server. And yeah, I've got a lot to catch up on. So I usually do this sort of thing when I come back from a trip and a holiday. I've done lots of videos in the past on the server where come back, yapped away for a couple of hours, really for my own benefit, just to sort of document my thoughts not long after coming back. And just because, I don't know, kind of turn it into a bit of a talky, podcasty episode where I don't really do much on the server. Just have a look around, maybe do some mundane stuff, and yeah, waffle away about what I got up to, maybe share some photos on the screen. So, you know, probably not everyone's cup of tea, but if you want to hear me yap away for probably quite a while, because it was a long trip and we got up to quite a lot of stuff in Japan, then watch away. But, yes, thought I'd don a wonderful looking kimono for this episode. Don't I look so pretty? Don't I look so kawaii? I think I do. That's it. I'm fluent in Japanese, by the way, now. I've come back 2 weeks. I know exactly what to say to everything, which is arigatou gozaimasu. You just say that and everyone thinks you're nice and you bow a lot and there you go. Just say thank you. Yeah, so as I say, I'm just going to be wandering around the server, looking around, seeing what's new, and then talking about what I got up to in my 2-week trip across the world, basically, halfway across the world. Nothing has changed with my castle because I haven't been here. No one's pranked me, which is nice. Well, I say that, I haven't actually looked in here. But I don't think anyone would have pranked me. I know that the not losers, fellow not losers, have been up to lots, so we'll go look over there later on. Oh boy, this thing's growing, isn't it? Oh no, you're oxidizing my little stupid golem friend. With nothing to do. Here you go, sort that. Have something to do after 2 weeks. You can't even sort that, can you? I don't think there was dirt. You fool. Put it in there. That's it, check all of them. I really need to learn how to use these better. Although I've been watching some videos on YouTube and it feels like a lot of people are having similar sort of, what do I say, not complaints, maybe just qualms with this. There you go, I was going to put it in here now. Then maybe they're not quite what people were hoping for, I don't know. I mean, we're not here to talk about Minecraft mechanics, we're here to talk about Japan. And culture, and history, and religion, and food, and gacha. So, where should we head? Let's maybe go around in this. Yeah, let's go around. I mean, it makes sense to start in the Nexus, but actually we're going to go this way. You have to forgive me, I've got a little Google Doc with all the things I got up to, but I'm going to have to probably pause and recollect and all that sort of jazz. So, yes, way back in, I think it was around April or maybe March, we booked the flight tickets to Tokyo, mainly because we were dilly-dallying. We've wanted to go to Japan. At least my other half has really wanted to go to Japan quite a lot. And we were asking some friends who've been before, and they said, look, the best thing to do is just book your flights, because it's very overwhelming, right? Trying to plan a trip like that. Just book the flights, spend the money so you're locked in, right? Because then that kind of forces you to start to organise it, rather than just, we'll get to it sometime. And then before you know it, like a year has passed. So we did that back in April-ish. We booked indirect. We didn't go direct because it was crazy expensive from Heathrow, London. Indirect flights from Heathrow, a layover in Hong Kong, which was the beefy bit of the flight. That was like the 14-hour section. And then short layover and a 4-ish hour flight from Hong Kong to Tokyo, Haneda. Wow, Nexa has been busy. I'm surprised. I thought Nexa would just be totally Pokemon'd out at the moment. Maybe he did this before the Pokemon game came out, that new ZA one, which I'm an expert at because obviously I saw that. I was in Tokyo when it launched, so I'm a pro. This looks really cool. That is a really good tree. Well done, Nexa. Let's go up there. I mean, this is going to be a long video. Probably at least a good Hour and a half, I'm going to say. Wait, on that note, I definitely am recording, aren't I? I am recording. Okay, and am I recording here? Yes, I am recording. I'm rusty. So yeah, that was on the flight was on the 14th of October. And before then, ever since April, we'd been sort of slowly planning the rough itinerary and bits like that. But yeah, the day had come, the biggie. So we didn't pack too much. We'd read a lot on things like Reddit, and a lot of people suggested pack quite lightly, do laundry, leave enough room for shopping and souvenirs and stuff, which we did, and it kind of worked out, but I'll talk a bit more about that later on. Now, the flight itself, by far the longest flight I've ever gone on, probably will ever go on unless I somehow get some sort of like crazy direct flight to Australia or somewhere like that. 14 hours, the leg from London to Heathrow, to Hong Kong. Yeah, what? It wasn't terrible. I don't know. I mean, some people are really bad with flights, like they get really cramped and need to go for a wee all the time. And I was just getting paranoid. I was going to get deep vein thrombosis, and I was going to stand up and then just immediately have a blood clot and stroke out. That didn't happen. After sitting down for 14 hours, I did try and stretch my legs a couple times during the flight. But it was with Cathay Pacific was the airline. This looks great. Well done, Nixa. Which is a Hong Kong airline. I think it's like their national one. And I can't complain. It was very good service. The food was pretty good. Had a nice beer on the flight. Seats, I mean, it was economy. I'm not rich. I'm not YouTube rich. I'm not getting business or first class, but they were fine. I'm not, that big and tall. I don't get all kind of like cramped up. But it was just long. Like I watched... Is this Cherry Oak? What is this? Do I break it? Oh, it's hollow. It is cherry wood. Oh, you can go inside. I think I watched only one film on the flight. It was 28 years later. The kind of newest one from Danny Boyle. I've got to say, it was pretty bad. I did not really like that very much. It wasn't very scary, and it was just weird. Apart from that, I probably played Angry Birds or something stupid. Or maybe watched some TV. I can't remember. Honestly, I'm in that stage now where, that feeling when you come back from a holiday, big or small really, but one that's very immersive. And then you come back home and you go back into the routine of life. You go back to work, the mundane routine of life. And then you start to question, did I even go? Was that even real? Did anything even happen? Does that happen? Did that happen to you? I'm sure that's not a unique feeling. But I'm in that stage at the moment where it's like, did I even go to Japan? What was that? What is time? Where am I? Maybe that's just me getting old and senile. Anyway, landed in Hong Kong. A few hours there. That was kind of nice actually, just to have stretch your legs and have a look around this gigantic airport, humongous airport. It took so long to taxi just to get into the building. And oh, hello. I had a look around some of the shops. But soon enough, we were on the second flight, which was the shorter one. And that was the one with, oh, no, come back. I want to kill you. Oh. That was with Japan Airlines. So we wanted to try one Japanese airline. It really, JLL or ANA is like the two Japanese airlines. And so we tried Japan Airlines. They were okay. To be honest, I think I preferred Cathay Pacific because my screen didn't work. My screen on my seat didn't work. The touchscreen didn't work, so I couldn't watch anything. It was only a 4-hour flight, so I think I listened to podcasts on my phone. But that was a bit annoying. I was like, oh, this is meant to be like a really great airline and really great service, but no. And also the food, it was my first sort of foray into the Japanese cuisine, and I did not like the... I mean, airplane food is not great at the best of times, really. When you combine it with like fishy stuff, or I don't know what it was like some brown goo, and I'm probably offending a whole culture of food and whatnot, but it was horrible. Why would anyone want to eat that? I don't know. It was literally brown goo with okra, I think it was. Slimy. Horrible. Anyway, enough about the flights. We landed. We landed, but the thing is, right, because it takes so bloody long to get there, we left on the 14th of October in the UK. We landed at 8:30 p.m. the 15th. Our flight from the UK was at 4 p.m. Yeah, 4 p.m. So we just lost a whole day, over a day really. Not going to go down there. And so I say that I've had a 2-week holiday, but really like 4 days of it is just traveling. It's crazy. But yeah, we got to Tokyo Haneda about 8:30. You know, by the time I left the airport, it was nearing 10, and it was like sort of, you're in that sort of bleary-eyed off the plane, clammy, tired, uncomfortable, just want to get straight to the hotel. But at the same time, you just landed, so you're like, oh man, I wanna see what it's like. My first impression. So first impression was just taking the train from the airport to, when was it? Shibuya, one of the regions of Tokyo, which is obviously the biggest city on the planet and humongous. That's where we stayed for the first few parts. So our trip was like broken up into various different sections, and we moved around quite a lot. So first bit was in Shibuya. Now, forgive me for all my pronunciations; they might be terribly wrong. But literally, as we got off the train to go to our hotel, there's Shibuya Scramble. You know, the big famous crossing where it's like diagonal zebra crossing, and it's just crazy. Everyone goes at the same time, and we looked at it and we're like, "Oh, do you want to do it? Like, do you want to go?" And like, and then we had our suitcases, and we were like, "No, I cannot think of anything worse than trying to navigate that when you're tired and you just want to go lay down." So we saved that for the next day. But the train to Shibuya, man, I know it's a thing. Like Japanese trains, they're great. No complaints about trains whatsoever the whole trip. I loved them. And what I especially love, not just about trains in Japan, this applies to lots of things in the country, but there's just jingles for everything, man. There's just a little jingle for everything you can imagine. And we were trying to work out whether it was every train line or every train station had its own little jingle when you got off and on the train. And maybe a little separate jingle for when the doors are about to close, and another jingle for when the train's about to arrive. And it's just so sweet. It's just so charming. And so throughout the trip, we were trying to like rank, oh, this is a good one. This is a good little jingle. Anyway, we got to our hotel, which was something Mitsu, something Park, Sequence. I don't know. You don't need, who cares about the hotel? Hotel was fine. One thing about Japanese, or not Japanese, but just Tokyo hotels, a lot of them, very small, very small. I imagine like some Western people, big fat Brits or big fat Americans. You know, I was just going to say Americans, but let's not just solo them out. Big fat Brits too would have a lot of issues with these hotel room sizes, because the one we were in for the first one was small. The sink and the wash basin was outside of the toilet. That was in the little corridor. Wasn't even enough room to open our suitcases really. But good views though. So here's the Nexus. I think there's going to be a lot of shops to look at around here. Let's have a look. What have I got? So that was days 1 and 2. Arriving at a hotel. That's pretty much it. Let's move on to day 3, 16th of October. We'd rested. Obviously, jet lag is going to be a thing, so can't remember. We did try and make an effort not to like waste too much time, so we did try and get up early-ish and fix our sleeping pattern as soon as possible, which we did. It did take a few days, but I think it naturally just happens over time. Tiny tools and armor. I'm hoping for. Is there a food shop? I don't want to eat bread anymore. I don't want to eat bread. The first thing we did, the first area of Tokyo we visited was Asakusa, which is, I'm not going to try and get into like explaining a lot of the stuff because I didn't really plan this itinerary. I just kind of went along with it. So it's an area of Tokyo, right? An area of Tokyo. And the first things we did was have a rickshaw ride, which is kind of touristy. It's kind of like, if I saw someone else do that, I'd be like, oh, is this Max's place? It looks like a wood shop. I don't know. Yeah, if I saw someone else do that, I'd be like, oh no, why are you doing that for? That's such like a tourist trap. I don't think it was actually. I think it's fairly innocent. I did see a lot of tourists do that sort of Mario Kart go-karting, real life Mario Kart. That looked proper tourist trappy. I would never do that. It just looked so kind of lame. You think you're really cool, and people are looking at you, and you're just in this like really crappy Mario outfit, stopped at a traffic light because there are so many traffic lights and intersections and crossings. It's not Mario Kart in real life. This is lovely too. I think I saw this in Max's video. Yeah, we had a rickshaw with this. What's his name? I wrote down his name. Masa was his name. Took us on a little tour around the temples and sort of areas of Asakusa. The big one, obviously, is Sensoji Temple, which we went back to and looked at on foot. But the rickshaw ride was actually pretty good. He first of all, this guy had humongous thighs. Like you could tell, he had really tree trunks for thighs. And he was taking us around all these streets. He was even doing this, like he was giving us a bit of commentary, obviously, and a bit of background to what we're looking at. But what I liked most is he was almost like a professional photographer. He'd got this down to a T. He'd have all these spots and be like, right, we're going to have a photo now. And he'd take our phone, literally 10 seconds, maybe not even 10 seconds, doing all these swipes, hand your phone back, and he'd taken these amazing photos on an iPhone that I didn't even know was possible. He'd like mess with the tone settings or the filters or something along those lines. One of them was black and white, one of them was sepia, and they just look so good. Like he knew the angles to get. Great. Didn't even know we were going to get that as part of this, but we had some really nice photos from it. And yeah, highly recommend that if you're in that area. Very good start to the trip. Just kind of fun and just, a bit of a novelty, really. And then we had a look around, the temples. So I'm probably going to get this wrong, right? But, across Japan, there's obviously Shinto, which is one religion. That's like the Japanese religion. And then you've got Buddhism, right? That's like the two main sides of it. And so across the country, you're going to have temples and you're going to have shrines. Temple is Shinto, shrine is Buddhist, I think. God, I'm going to be an ignorant tourist here, but I think that's along those lines anyway. And Sensoji Temple, if you saw a picture of it, you'd probably recognize it. It's the one with like a giant lantern between the gates. And it's also, it was nice. But the thing is like, it's obviously such a tourist location. It was just crammed, absolutely crammed. And whenever you go to these temples and shrines, there's always sort of the same things in them, which is, you go have a bit where you can go get your fortune from a little bit of paper. And if it's a bad fortune, you're meant to tie it up and leave it there. And if it's a good fortune, you're meant to keep it, obviously. And then there's things to buy charms or mamori, I think they're called. Or, if you really want to be respectful, no, not necessarily respectful. You're not being disrespectful by not doing this, but I think if you're really trying to like get into the practices of it, you would go and you'd wash your hands, and there's usually like a little fountain bit where you'd ladle your hands and maybe even like wash your face or drink some, I can't remember. And you do that before you go and pray to cleanse yourself, and then you go. And I did do it. I sort of had a bit of mixed feelings with a lot of them because I don't know. Part of me was like, oh, it's just like this stupid white Westerner coming along and just, oh, this is fun. Look, I'm praying. Like I'm doing this thing here, and I'm part of it. And it's like, oh, I didn't really want to have that vibe. But then equally, you're there, so you probably should try. So I did do it, and I think, there's like a little routine to it. So you go up and you toss a coin into the bit at the front, and you're meant to, what is it? You're meant to bow twice. There was instructions. there were literally instructions for tourists, so they obviously expect you to do it. You bow twice. Obviously, bowing is a humongous thing in Japan. It's bow to everything. Bow twice. Make your, have your prayer, your wish, and then you would clap twice. You're meant to clap, so you're heard. Your prayer is heard, and then you bow one more time afterwards. So I did that. I think I did that there at Sensoji. I think I did it one other time in one other temple, but I didn't want to do it all the time. And yeah, I just saw some people do it and I was like, oh God, is that how I look? But yeah, really cool place, obviously. All these temples are really cool. The thing is, the further through the trip that we got and the more of these temples and shrines we went to, you sort of do get a little bit shrined out. And they all just sort of tend to blur into each other a little bit. And then they kind of lose their wow factor because you've just seen it. It sounds terrible to say, but it's true. Anyway, yeah, so that was Sensoji Temple. There's a street that kind of leads from it, which is called Nakamize Street. It's one lined with stalls. And that was a bit that just felt really like I could have been in Oxford Street in London. It was just pure wall-to-wall tourists and just like tourist tat. You could tell that they were selling. I don't think anything there was probably authentic or, original. It was all just, matcha stuff, or there's like a, I don't know, kimono you could buy and just crap like that. And it's just, yeah, I didn't like that side of it. And unfortunately, just because of the nature of, it's a very tourist, like heavily tourist place, Japan, especially Tokyo. A lot of places did feel like that, where it's just, you kind of have to give that a miss. Try and find the back streets. Try and find the things where it's a little bit more authentic. So, anyway, what did we do? 16th, we did that. Then we went to Tokyo National Museum. We didn't really go on many museum trips, museum visits this trip, or art galleries or stuff like that, even though there is obviously tons to do in Tokyo. We only had a few days in Tokyo, ultimately, so there's a lot more we could have done, a lot more reason to go back, I suppose. But Tokyo National Gallery Museum, absolutely humongous. It was kind of close to the closing time, so we didn't have a lot of time to spend there. But we only looked at, well, not even one building. I'd say maybe like half of one building, and there was at least 3 buildings. They all look different as well. They're all sort of like a different style. But really cool. I didn't really take many photos inside. We went to this special exhibition they had where, I'm trying to remember all this stuff. We went to this special exhibition where they had this statue of Buddha and then some statues around it, and it was like the first time they'd all been placed in their original orientation in what would have been an octagonal shrine. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and recall that sort of stuff because I was just there going, oh, that's a cool statue, and trying to read some of the information about them. And then obviously get a postcard, gift shop afterwards. Hell yeah. And then after that, all I put is Tokyo National Museum. That would have closed at around 6. I think early on in this trip, this was the point where we were getting tired early. So we probably did, we probably went and got food after that, but I can't remember what else we did. It probably was only a little bit of food, and then we went to bed because I think we'd rather have went to bed and got up earlier than try to force ourselves to stay awake later, being sleepy and tired and not really getting much out of it, and then also laying in the next day because we stayed up later. So figured the best thing to do was just go to bed early, get up early, which is generally what we did. Day 4 was the 17th. This was a big day. Started off with a trip to, so after all that, very cultural, the religion, the temples, the shrines. Next day, where did we go? Nintendo Store Shibuya. Oh yeah, it was pretty close to us and the hotel. So we thought we'd start the day there. My goodness gracious me. It was in this shopping centre, and this building was just some of the people on the JFS, if they went to where I went, they would soil themselves with excitement. This particular floor of this shopping mall, so it had a Nintendo Store Tokyo, or at least one of them. It had Pokemon Center, which is the shop, Pokemon Center shop. And I think this is one of the good ones because it's the one that has the big full-size Mewtwo statue, in the bubble thing, which I have a photo with Take that, Naxa. It has that. And it also has a ton of other nerdy stuff as well, like other nerdy shops. It's got a Sega one. It's got a One Piece one. It's got a something. What's the other one? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't know. There was tons of other anime crap, and you could have spent all day in here buying all sorts of plastic tat, but we mainly just looked at the Nintendo stuff. And you know, it's a cool shop. I'm gonna try to stop saying so much. It's a cool shop, but it really did become apparent to me, and I knew this already. But looking around the Nintendo part of it and all the different franchises, it was very apparent to me that I am not a Nintendo gamer. I'm barely even a gamer, but especially not a Nintendo gamer. I like Mario, right? I like Mario. I've tried playing Zelda. That's about it, right? So there was Pikmin, there was Animal Crossing, there was Splatoon. There was lots of Splatoon stuff. I know Splatoon is really big in Japan. There was... What else was there? Yeah, Zelda. So much. And some really cool stuff. Very expensive, because it's Nintendo, of course. But really cool souvenirs and merchandise. And I think I got a... a Mario keychain, a Super Mario Brothers 3 keychain. I was like, hey, that's the one I played 20 years ago. So, but the Nintendo shop was, the Pokemon Center bit was pretty cool as well. I couldn't really spend very long there because we had things to do. It was a busy day, but I was desperately trying to find a particular plushie that had a humongous wall full of all the plushies. You can imagine how big it is because it's just got so many generations of Pokemon as little toys. And I was trying to find, because funnily enough, Naxa had asked me a few weeks prior what your favourite Pokemon is, or what your favourite Pokemon are, for like a board game thing that he's made. And he kind of guessed one for me, which I'd actually forgot about. But when he said, I was like, oh yeah, I do like that Pokemon, which is Celio, which is like a seal that has a big mustache. And God knows what generations that's from. I noticed him playing Legends Arceus. But I was desperately trying to find this Pokemon plushie of Celio, and I could not. Wait, it is Celio, isn't it? Let me just... Celio. Yeah. I was desperately trying to find it for so long, and it was so crowded, and I didn't know what generation to look in. I was trying to use my phone. I did have mobile data. Thankfully, I bought this eSIM, so I was trying to look it up, and I found its evolution, like the big one, but I couldn't find Celio, and I was getting upset, and I was kind of panicking. So I was like, "Oh, we really should go," but I really wanted to buy something from this shop, just as a little memento. So eventually, I was like, "Oh, what else is it going to be then? What other Pokemon is my favorite?" And there it was. I found my Gravel Dude, aka Graveler. So I bought Gravel Dude instead, and I'm very happy with Gravel Dude. It's a cool little plushie. I'll stick a picture of it on screen, hopefully. Hopefully I've been putting photos up the whole time. I don't know. Anyway, what did we do after the Nintendo stuff? We walked through. We were heading towards another shrine. But on the way there, we walked through Cat Street, which is this sort of trendy fashion street somewhere in Tokyo, somewhere between Shibuya and the Meiji Shrine, which we was heading to. And it was really cool, actually. It was such a... It's so weird how in Tokyo you can be in the busiest, most chaotic street, hordes of people weaving in and out. You take one turn, you go down one different street, and there's no traffic, there's no noise. I mean, there's still noise, but it's such a lightning difference one street can make. And that was the street. Like, there was very, very, very little traffic going through it. Did it even have a proper street with... I don't think it did. Or if it did, there was very little traffic. And yeah, really trendy cafes and it was weird. It was like trendy cafes also mixed with major designer brands. So it'd be like this little cute coffee shop next to Gucci, or I don't know. Yeah. Rolex. And we stopped off for a coffee on this street because I was desperately in need of a coffee. I gotta say, I'm gonna say this early so I don't forget, but Japan, you're great. I love you. Lots of things you do amazingly well. There is also that feeling of like, I read this earlier actually, a saying that Japan was in the Japan was in the 2000s in the 1980s, but it hasn't changed. And it is kind of true. They're so forward in many ways, but there's a lot of things in their culture that's also just sort of frozen in time, it feels like. And one of those things for me was coffee. I'm very disappointed. I thought Japan would have great coffee, but I'd say the majority of them I had were pretty bad. It was like 1980s drip coffee, instant coffee swill. And this place in Cat Street was the only place I really had a good coffee. I had a nice latte, and you could tell it was going to be good because they even had you had to pick the beans. They gave you these two little vials and you had to sniff the beans. But oh yeah, I have that one. So now, that is a bit of a a broad statement about coffee. I'm sure if I'd actually hunted out some proper coffee shops, artisanal coffee shops, I would have found good coffee. But I would say, just comparing it to the UK, on average, if you were just to get a coffee in a cafe or a restaurant or whatever, it would be like a proper coffee machine, espresso machine coffee. Whereas in Japan, it felt like a lot of them were literally just using an espresso capsule. And I no, I know what you're doing here. Or using some, really watery coffee. So, and also very milky. Very milky. It was difficult to get a strong coffee anywhere. And if it did taste strong, it tasted strong for the wrong reasons. Like it tasted horribly strong, like bitter. Anyway, that's enough of that. Cat Street, had a coffee, found this lovely bakery. This was kind of off Cat Street. It was as we were still walking towards the shrine. Oh my God, such good value. I mean, everything, I wouldn't say Japan was particularly cheap in terms of, wow, I can't believe this beer's so cheap, and wow, I can't believe, but I think we're just kind of fortunate at the moment in terms of, I'm sure a lot of countries are, but with the British pound is very good against the yen at the moment. So it's pretty much 100 yen was 50p. So everything I looked at, I just halved and moved the decimals. So it meant that things weren't crazy expensive, but also wasn't as cheap as I was hoping. This bakery, however, was quite good value. And, am I near the border already? Bloody hell. What did I have there? I think we had some cheesecake. Oh, it was so good. It was like a proper baked cheesecake, like a New York style one. Baked cheesecake. Anyway, that was a random bakery we went to. We eventually headed to Meiji Shrine, which is a very big, popular tourist spot to visit. Huge shrine where, as the name would suggest, it's where the Emperor Meiji is rested, or at least his spirit is. And that was really cool. Again, I didn't take many photos there, but such a long walkway. Pretty, so incredibly pretty. Like, just as I was saying, you're in the middle of a city centre, traffic, lights, craziness, and then you go into the shrine and suddenly you're in like a forest and you've been transported. So really cool. Again, similar stuff. You go there, you do the praying, you buy your charms, you buy your fortune. One thing that we did, and we tried to do through every shrine that we went to, is there's a thing, I'm going to have to Google this just to get it right. Is it Goshuin? Goshuin. Yeah. So Goshuin, they are official stamps or seals from Japanese temples and shrines that serve as a record of your visit. So what you're meant to do is, you can't just take any old bit of paper and get it done. You have to have a special book, which you can buy, and it's like a nice high quality paper, and it's concertinaed, I think. So, and you take that, and yeah, there's always like a little spot where you can go and hand your book in, and it costs maybe 500, 600 yen, maybe 300 yen, depending on the temple. If it's a more touristy one, it'll be more expensive. And someone will go and either sometimes you can see them do it, sometimes they just take it away, and then they come back and it's been done. But it's really cool when you can see them do it, because obviously it's kind of what they do day in, day out. So they're so adept with this brush and the ink, and you watch them. It's a mixture of calligraphy like that, but also stamps as well. So I'll try and put a photo of an example of one that we got, but some of them can be really pretty. Some of them can be kind of like, oh, maybe were they rushing that, or is that just the design? I don't know. But it is a cool way of tracking that. Japan loves stamps. There was also stamps for train stations, which I was so keen to do. But the problem is whenever you're in a train station, you're usually heading somewhere, right? It's not somewhere you just stop and have a little wander around. So I never really found the right time to dig out a book and dig out or try and find the stamp in the humongous train stations they have. So, but yeah, that was at Meiji Shrine. Had the Goshin, and there's also someone there having. I think there's a wedding going on, which is really cool. Kind of crazy. All these people watching you get married, but oh no. Yeah, let's get out there. Oh no, I've lost my thing, and I need a little drink. Wait, where's my cup of tea? Right, this is still the 17th. How long have I been recording? Oh my god, nearly 40 minutes. Crazy. After that, I'm going to have to speed up a little bit, I think. After that, we wanted to do something with a nice view, somewhere high up, and there's lots of places to go and do that in Tokyo. One of the most popular these days, as if I don't know. One of the most popular is Tokyo Skytree, which is a big tower. It's not Tokyo Tower; it's a new one. It's even taller, and it's very imposing. I think on one of the days we were there, it was very cloudy, and you could just see this giant tower emerge through the clouds. But it does cost money, and it is very busy, so you have to kind of pre-book your slot, and you have to arrive on time, and yada yada yada. There's another place you can go to. Here's our satellite. Here's the Not Losers Club. Another place you can go to, which also has very good views, a very tall building, but it's completely free, and you don't need to book anything, is the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. Not the most attractive of names. We got there, and it really is a government building. Like it has this sort of slightly touristy element to it, where you can go up in the lifts up to not the top level, but very high up to get a good view. But apart from that, there's like a driving license office, there's a passport office, there's people just going there and doing very mundane things, and it's kind of strange. We walked in, and it almost felt a little bit dystopian. It was very clinical and kind of drab, but also kind of cool in its own way as well. Kind of felt a bit like Severance. I don't know. Yeah, so we went up there, up the lifts, got a good view of the Tokyo panorama, and yeah, I mean, Tokyo is just humongous, obviously. Like I say, it's a bigger city, and it just stretches for miles and miles. They did have these things where you could kind of look at the landscape and try and work out what you're looking at with some arrows, but I don't know. I didn't really focus too much on what I was really looking at. I was just sort of taking it all in, and it was also just a nice break, because this trip was obviously going to entail tons and tons and tons of walking. So any chance I took of just having a little break, a little sit or a stand, or just to stop moving, was very important. We didn't really plan in very many rest days, which I was a little bit worried about, because I think a lot of people on kind of the Japan travel tips advice subreddit would say, make sure you plan in rest days so that you don't ruin the rest of your trip. You know, if you ruin the trip early on by ruining your feet, big blisters or I don't know, bad back or something, then you've screwed yourself over. So anyway, yeah, went up there, had a look around. What did we do after that? After that, we went to, how do you say this? We walked from the Metropolitan Building to an area of Tokyo. It's a particular street, well, alley. Not really a street, it's an alley called Omoide or Omoede. No, hang on, let me get this right. How do you say this? Omoede. God, I don't know. Yokocho. Anyway, it's got another term apart from that. It's got an English term which is the romantically named Piss Alley, because it is a place known for lots of bars and lots of izakayas, which are small Japanese bars, very, very small, only fit maybe like, I don't know, 8 to 10 people. You basically sit there, you drink for ages, you have little bits of food, kind of like tapas, in a similar sort of way. So yeah, full of that sort of stuff, and it is really cool. It's very atmospheric, very busy again, but you walk through it, and there's just smoke coming out of them, and you look through, and there's all these curtains covering the doorway, so you have like little glimpses of people crammed in and loud and boisterous and laughing and yelling, and the smells. It's great. Like it's so immersive and a sensory overload in a way. So we had to walk through there. We weren't quite ready to eat yet though, so we just walked through it first. This is a cool bridge. I like this bridge. Walked through there, and what did we do? We said we'd come back for some food and drink, but before that, we had a little bit more time to kill. So we went and did some. It's not gambling. That's not the right word. We went and did some gaming. Of course, we did some gacha gaming. We found a Taito station, not potato, which is like a chain of arcade stores with the crane games, arcade machines, all sorts. And oh yeah, they've also got one other thing as well. But that was really cool. Just it's kind of dangerous though, because when you do these things like at an arcade on holiday, when you're not using your own currency, you really lose track of what you're spending. So it's 100 yen per go at the crane games, which is 50p, right? I would never be willy-nilly spending 50p a go on an arcade machine. Hell no, that's way too expensive. When you're on holiday money doesn't count. In it goes. And we had a few goes of that, and I think I didn't really win anything. Oh, did I win anything? I don't think I did. Or if I did, it wasn't very good. My other half won a gigantic Kirby. The biggest Kirby I've ever seen as a plushie thing, which is all well and good until you realise that, are we taking this home? Like, this takes up half the suitcase, and a little bit worried about that. But it was pretty cool. Literally 100 yen in, giant plushie out. And then the silver lining was they even had in a section of the arcade store a section to vacuum pack your toys. I guess for that exact reason, right? If you've just won this gigantic plushie and you have not got the room for it, you just vacuum seal it. So I took this video of poor Kirby being mummified in this plastic bag. It was so dramatic. It was kind of a bit horrifying in a way. Play it now.
Oh, here it goes. Oh my god, wow. Oh my god, Kirby, no!
There you go. Horrible. But I can confirm we're back home. Kirby is out of that cocoon and perfectly fine. Looking better than ever. Where am I now? Is this Pandas? I think it is. There was also on the top floor, the top floor of this place was a whole floor dedicated to photo booths. And apparently it's a very popular thing for Japanese girls to do. They go out in their groups and go up to these top floors You can go and you can rent out a costume. They've got places to sit and do your makeup and get yourself all dolled up and dressed up. Go as a maid or whatever. There was tons. Mario. There was a Yoshi one as well. Tons and tons of outfits. And then you go in these photo booths and you just have a little photo shoot. We went in one. They were called Hypershot. And it was the most technologically advanced photo booth I've ever seen, where you could customize exactly what sort of photos you wanted. High angle, low angle. Like, they were big. And then you also pick... So you go in, you pick your poses, and then it's literally like you're on the red carpet, where it just shows you, do this pose, 3, 2, 1, bam. Next pose, do this, 3, 2, 1, bam. That bit takes, I don't know, a minute, not even that to do. Then you come out of that bit of the photo booth, go into a bit next to it, and that's the bit where you customize everything you just took. So you can, first of all, there's a setting just to basically make you an alien. I guess it's like the beauty standards in Japan is very strange, but yeah, like it's like a no filter, medium filter, where it makes your eyes a bit bigger and kind of pinches your chin a bit or whatever, and you're like, okay, that kind of, I can see where people would go with that. And then there's a max version, which just looks hideous. Like, you don't look human. But I guess that's kind of it, right? That's just part of the fun. And then you can put on loads of stamps and you can customize it and change the border of these photos. So we got that, and that was great. And it only cost, I don't know, like £2 or something like that. Well, great little activity to kill some time and have a little memento at the end. So yes, we did that. Then it was time to go for some food. So we went back to Piss Alley. Honestly, it was nicer than it sounds. Really cool atmosphere. And just so happened to kind of time it perfectly, where this couple came out of this place just as we were ready to go in. So we literally just swapped seats, really. Sat at this bar, and it's, as I said before, it's very loud. You're meant to just call out, like, get someone's attention. 2 beers. We have the grill, and you get your beers, your Asahi, or your what's the other one? Kiran, is that the other beer brand? I can't remember. But then you get some food eventually, and the food was like, we ended up getting some beef, and it was a bit of beef, which was nice. Don't know if it was Wagyu or whatever, but then it was, I think, liver. I was like, oh, this isn't quite as nice. Then it was tripe. I was like, oh, this is chewy. Just more beer. Wash it down with beer and it's fine. So yeah, I didn't love the food, but I did love the atmosphere, and I really wanted to take a photo. But it's one of those things where there's not that many people, and you don't really want to be that one with the phone out being like, oh, wow, this is so cool. So I tried to take one a bit discreetly, which I'll stick on the screen now. Yeah. I think a highlight for me, that was one of those moments where it was, well, not an out of body thing, but you just had that moment where I was like, wow, like we're in Tokyo, we've come all this way, we're in this izakaya, and it's just so cool. And a good sign was, I mean, there were some tourists in there, but there were a lot of Japanese people too, and that's always a good sign when it's not just tourists and foreigners, and that locals actually would frequent this place. But I think that is a thing across the board, actually, which is quite nice to see. I think in maybe other countries, this sort of thing would just be consumed by tourists and tourism. But it seems like, maybe just because there's so many people in Tokyo, there is still a lot of locals that use them, which kind of gave me a bit of confidence that it wouldn't just be terrible and getting ripped off with a tourist tax. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that day there. That's only day 4, and oh my god, it's almost an hour, and that's not even like a quarter of the way through the trip. And I'm losing my voice. All right, next up, day 5, 18th of October. We went to different area of Tokyo from our hotel, so we had to get the train. We took the train to Tokyo Station, which is not the biggest train station in Tokyo, which is a bit strange. You'd think it would be, but no, I think that is Shinjuku, which is another area. Really cool station though, and it kind of reminded me a bit of, in London, it reminded me of St Pancras station, because it's got this station with shops, and then it's also got a hotel attached to it as well. And the one in London, in St Pancras, is this really ornate Victorian architecture. And equally, Tokyo Station has a hotel attached to it, and it is kind of similar, where it really stands out. It's like I think it was it based on Amsterdam's old train station, where it's all brick, and it kind of, it doesn't really match the environment because there's just tons of skyscrapers around it, but I guess that kind of adds to it really. And we were there because that was the place to get off to visit the Imperial Palace. Yes, of course, you've got to go visit the Imperial Palace. Huge section, right in the smack bang middle of Tokyo, pretty much. And that being said, we didn't actually go into the palace itself. I think it was either closed that day or we just didn't book tickets. But we could go in the gardens. The gardens were free to go into, and you didn't need to book. You just queue, not even for that long really, and have a little wander around there, and that was nice. One thing I thought was a little bit lacking there actually was information. There was a few information boards about what we were seeing, old forts and old turrets and a tea house maybe or whatever. But I would have liked to have read more, or just be a little bit more engaging. So it was nice, but I think it could have been better. And also, if you go there expecting it to be like a Japanese garden or a Zen garden sort of thing with really pretty trees and fountains and stuff, it's not quite that. There is a section that is nice. It's kind of near the end of the route that you take. And it does have a little pond and some koi carp and stuff like that, but it's not the nicest place. We actually missed out going to the nicest place, which was back in Shinjuku. Shinjuku Goen Gardens, which was a shame, but we just couldn't fit everything in. So yeah, anyway, Imperial Palace was good. I've also read online that it's not actually that great to go inside of. Kind of similar thing maybe, like it's just a little bit plain. There's not really much to actually see. But it was a nice way to kill a bit of time. I shouldn't really say kill a bit of time, because that makes it sound like we had time to kill where we didn't. There was not enough time to do stuff. After that, we walked actually, because it was close enough. We walked from the Imperial Palace to another area of Tokyo called Akihabara, which is kind of Electric Town, I think they might be nicknamed, or Electric Avenue. It's all where the electrical shops are, and also where a lot of the video game stuff and that sort of thing sits. In particular, you'll find that stuff across all of Tokyo, obviously, but like a hot spot for electronics. So we went there, and I was keen to look in some video game shops. I don't really know what I was looking for. I was really keen to go into. I really wanted to get something from one of these types of shops. There's one called Super Potato, and it is like a retro video game shop. A little bit pricey though, gotta say, a little bit pricey. And whilst I was in there, I was like, what would I actually want to get? I don't want to get a whole console. I don't want to bring that home. If I get a game, I can't play it because region locking. So what do I want? Do I want a cool box art maybe? And eventually I did figure that was what I wanted. This is a cool area. So I was looking for, again, I don't really know what it was in particular. Maybe like a GoldenEye 64, like a Japanese GoldenEye 64 box would have been really cool. Or maybe a Japanese Crash Bandicoot, Japanese Spyro would be quite cool as well. Things like that. And I think I did see one or two of them, but they were obviously like the more valued thing because they were in the locked cases, in the locked glass cabinets. And I was doing the maths with some things. Like I did see a GoldenEye 64 box or boxed version, but it would have been like £70, and I just could not justify that. I thought things would be cheaper. in Tokyo, but clearly not. So I gave that a miss. Ultimately, I didn't find anything, which was a bit sad. This is so cool. That's such a cool design. Let's sleep again. Yeah, it's also a little bit, that Akihabara district of Tokyo was a little bit uncomfortable feeling at times, because there's just so many young girls. I shouldn't say girls, but you know what I mean. Young ladies just standing outside buildings, holding up signs, trying to entice you into wherever they're leading you, right? And it's just, there's so many. It's not even as if you can avoid one and you'll be fine. You go down streets and they're just lined either side. They're all dressed up, trying to get your attention, and it just feels a little bit, I don't know, seedy in a way. But yeah, so a little bit of a bust, that area for me. We did have a look in. There's another one called Book Off, which was a shop, like second-hand things, and I was really hoping to see something in there. But I think just because of that area, good stuff would go quickly. I think people say if you want to find good kind of video game merch or diamonds in the rough like that, you need to go further afield, really, which we didn't do. Not in Tokyo anyway. So yeah, we did go and get some cool prints though. No, were they prints? I think they might have been original artworks from like a little art gallery shop. So that was pretty cool. Then we went for a curry. My first curry of the trip, and oh boy, it was so good. I was so keen to get oh God, how have I forgot what it's called? Like a katsu curry, right? Tonkatsu. Chicken one. Although I did have a lot of pork on the trip as well, like fried pork, but fried chicken as well. There's what was the place called? Alba, I think this place was called. And such easy service that you go in, touchscreen, set it to English, bish bash bosh, get your curry, get your beer, sit down at the counter. Thing about Japan, if you ever go there, you'll notice, at least in Tokyo, very heavily single eater focused, single person focused. I mean, I guess it does have a bit of a darker aspect to it if you think about it, because isn't there like a pretty bad problem in Japan with loneliness and suicide as well? But yeah, so many restaurants will be catered for single eaters. So you go in, particularly ramen places. We went to one near the end of the trip where you have your own booth. You don't talk to anyone. You do everything with a ticket. No interaction, and you get your food. And it's purely it's not like going out for a meal, right? Oh, we're going to go out for a meal. We're going to go out for dinner. I think it's more kind of fundamental. It's like, oh, I just need food. I need to eat. So more not transactory, but you know what I mean. And yeah, I actually quite like that aspect though, because a lot of time I can't be bothered to fart around in a fancy restaurant and wait for ages for the bill or what have you. I kind of like going in, eating, and being done. I'm not a massive foodie, so that suited me very well. But yeah, this curry place in Akihabara was kind of had that vibe. So you'd sit down, and we were sat at the counter, and you'd have everything you need right in front of you. You wouldn't need to get anyone's attention. You had water, you had all the sauces, all the utensils. And I was pretty good with chopsticks. I'm not good at chopsticks. I don't use them. I blame my left-handedness, which I think is a bit of a cop-out, but I did all right, actually. I have been trying to use them more in the lead up to the trip. I don't think I embarrassed myself. At least I didn't need to use the kiddie ones, which are attached at the top. That's a good sign, right? Yeah, had a good curry. And it was also so cheap. I was saying before about things aren't cheap, but then some things can be really cheap. 2 big curries, 2 beers. I think it cost £12, the equivalent of £12. Like chicken curries. big portion of chicken, huge portion of rice. Bargain. Absolute bargain. And then after that, we actually had to... Wait, when did we do... Hang on, I'm missing something. Oh, that's right. We'd stored our luggage. That's right, because we checked out of the previous hotel that day. And so we'd stored our luggage in Tokyo Station. That's why we're there as well. So we went and picked up our luggage back at Tokyo Station, and we were travelling to Tokyo Bay, because the next leg of the trip for 2 days, or actually 3 days, was the most magical place on earth, Disneyland. Yes, so we went and got our suitcases and headed towards the Hilton, Tokyo Bay, to check in for a few nights to see what all the fuss was about with Tokyo Disneyland, and more importantly, Tokyo Disney Sea, because you don't get that anywhere else. And that was the next 2 days. So, man, this could be like its own video. How long am I up to? Hour. Okay. Let me just pause and have a drink. Wait 1 second. Oh, what is that squelchy noise? Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, I just had a massive gulp of my cold tea, hopefully to help my voice. I really want to do this in one take. I do not want to split this up. So anyway, we're locked in. Let's go. Disney. We checked into Hilton Tokyo Bay. We did not decide to stay at a Disney hotel because it's crazy expensive. And there are so many hotels in that area. So the Disneyland area of Tokyo is near the bay, and it's all very condensed. And yes, there are lots of Disneyland hotels if you want to do that, but you pay the premium for that. You might get early entry into the park or what have you. But there are tons of others to choose from, partner hotels like they have in America. So the Hilton was a partner hotel, and it would cost like maybe £600 for 3 nights, whereas that would cost 1 night in one of these Disney hotels. And I don't really think we did much else that evening. We checked in and it was pretty late. It had been a long day, so we decided get some kip, get up nice and early, because I tell you what, Disney people can be a bit freaky and very regimented. I was reading stuff about this part of the trip and how to do this the best way, how to get the most out of the park with a short amount of time. And it's terrifying. It's honestly, people have this like a military drill. Get up then. Get to the queue then. Rope drop this. Fast pass this. X, Y, Z. And if you don't do that, you're going to have a terrible time. And that scared the bejesus out of me. So I was very keen to follow that to an extent. Not that crazy though. So I had a rough idea of what I wanted to do. And that did involve getting up early. So we had breakfast at the hotel. Terrible. Terrible breakfast. I read reviews online saying, oh, the breakfast was really good at Hilton. No. Disagree. Big time. It was meant to be a continental breakfast. And you'd think it would be, being a Disneyland hotel. They must know they're going to get a lot of tourists. Well, I guess they do get a lot of tourists. A lot of Chinese tourists. It was all weird Chinese food. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say that. I did not like most of it. It was horrible. It was disgusting. Where is... Like, they had bacon and sausages, but no eggs. Where are the eggs? What the hell? Anyway. I don't hate Chinese people. Just their food is a bit weird sometimes. I had breakfast. God, I'm really just doing a whole loop of the map like 4 times, aren't I? Had breakfast and then headed to the park. One thing I was warned about online was queues. It's any Disney park is queue heavy, but particularly Tokyo. They weren't kidding. They were not kidding. We got there and it was quite funny because we got off the monorail. There's a monorail that goes around in a loop to the different sections of the park and the different hotels and the entrances, which you have to pay for, which is a bit cheeky. And also it's not cheap. 300 yen per trip. That's £1.50. Compare that to a train journey that will take you halfway across Tokyo, which will cost you, I don't know, 200 yen. Madness. That's the Disney greed in full show there. But we're back at this bridge. Why is my monitor making so many creaky noises? We got off the monorail, and we did get a glimpse of the queue at the gates, and we're like, oh yeah, that is a big queue. But once it opens, maybe it will move quite quickly. It's a big park. I'm sure it won't be too bad. And then as we walked off and walked around the corner, like, oh, okay, there's security. Of course, you have to go through security first before you get to go into the park. That makes total sense. And then we saw, oh, hang on a minute, that's the queue for security. Oh, hang on, it bends around there. And so we followed it, and we followed this queue for about 5 minutes walking. It went on and on and on. And it was hot. It was only 8:30 maybe. It was hot in the sun. People had their parasols out. People were dressed up. Now, this was something we didn't quite know. We were trying to work it out whilst we were there. Tons of people were dressed up, and we just thought maybe that was a Japanese thing. You dress up when you go to the park. You dress up as Disney characters. You dress up as whatever. I think on reflection, it was actually because of Halloween, because it was so close to Halloween, and the park had been done up in the Halloween style, spooky pumpkins everywhere and stuff. I think actually it was related to that. People were dressing up for that reason. But it was still really cool. There was some real intricate, frankly uncomfortable looking costumes to be in all day at a Disneyland park and try and ride rides in. I don't know how they did it. They'll get through anything, I guess, to look good. But we queued up, and actually, to be honest, the queue didn't take that long. It looked terrifying, but it did move at a decent pace. So we were queuing by, maybe like 8:15, 8:30. We were in the park maybe 9:15. On the face of it, that sounds terrible, like an hour queuing just to get in. But it really wasn't that bad. It went past quite quickly. And as I say, we were just looking at people's costumes and just getting excited for it, really. However, as soon as you get into the park, that's when whoa, what the hell? That's when the military process begins. What am I trying to say here? You gotta be on your toes, because let's try and explain this for anyone who's non-Disney. Disneyland they used to have fast passes, right? So you could, limited amount, but you could lock in a ride for a certain time later on in the day, and then you could skip the regular queue and go straight on, hopefully. Disney do have that. They've got it. They've called it like a 40th anniversary thing, but they're free fast passes that you can book on the app. You can only do that when you've actually scanned your ticket through the barrier, though. So they've got that. They've also got paid fast passes called Disney Premier Access. These cost between 1,500 2,000 yen each, so like £10, £15. And no, £5 to £10, I should say. And they are the ones for like the really sought after rides, the ones that you'd be queuing 3 hours otherwise. And there's obviously there's a set number of those released per day as well. So everyone was saying, as soon as you get into the park, you need to buy these passes. Otherwise they're going to run out, and then you're going to be stuck later on with queues for ages. And it's kind of like, it sucks that this has to be done. And this isn't just a Tokyo thing. I think this is maybe a thing in a lot of parks as well. But it sucks that it needs to be done, because if you go in, you go through the gates, you've scanned your ticket, and what you want to do is just be like, wow, look at the entrance. You want to have that feeling, that kind of overwhelming gush of emotion, because it would look great, right? But you don't have that. You walk in and you're like, oh crap, right, get on the app, look down, book the fast passes. And it's just so sad. It just takes away that moment, but it has to be done. So we did do that. I was getting a little bit aggy because I was trying to buy something and then my card wasn't being recognised, but it was fine in the end. So we got our fast passes, which was the biggie for Disneyland. So the first day was Disneyland. The next day was going to be Disney Sea. the biggie for Disneyland was Beauty and the Beast, which is their kind of standout ride, which you'd be queuing for 2-3 hours otherwise. So we bought that. That one was the one that cost money. One of the free ones we got was Monsters Inc. Hide and Seek, I think it's called. So we got that one as a free one, and I think we did get one more fast pass for Baymax from Big Hero 6, which I've not seen, but I'd heard good things. So I was like, oh, let's just buy that now whilst it's still there. So we had some things locked in, which kind of put me at ease, because it means, all right, now we can just go in and enjoy the park and queue for a bit, but we know we've got some rides definitely able to do. And the park is really cool. It kind of looks like a lot of the other parks where you go in and there's that sort of main street aspect to it, which I'm very familiar with. Season 4 of the JFS that was one of my big projects, was Morge World, recreating Main Street USA from Disney World, I think that was in Orlando. And it does look a little bit different. I think they always do look a little bit different. Like the one in Paris looks a bit different to the America ones, and this one also looks a bit different to that. This one's covered, and it's called the World Bazaar. But it does look just the same. It looks like that sort of Americana type of thing. And yeah, lots of shops. I think we were just keen to sort of go with the flow. So we walked in, and just whenever we saw a ride that was reasonably short wait, we'd just go on it. So one of the first ones we went on to was what was it called? Mickey's Philharmonic thing. It was like a sit-down one, like a show. And it was a 3D, put your 3D goggles on now, and it was all about Donald Duck messing up with the, the Fantasia, what's it called? Composer stick. Whatever that is. Yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot to say about Disneyland. It is just Disneyland. It was really cool. It was. I was surprised to learn. I guess I did know this before, but I'd forgot. It's very old. Disneyland Tokyo is actually it was the first park built outside of America. I think it was the second park built before. Was it before? It might not have been before Disney World, actually. I can't remember. But it's very old. It was like the 80s it was opened. And apart from a couple of areas around the park, I would say you wouldn't be able to tell it was that old. It was so well maintained. So clean. Yeah. It was great. And I think one of the things that is a reason for that is it's kind of cool, actually. So it's not actually owned by Disney, Tokyo Disneyland. It's actually owned by another company who built it called the Oriental Land Company. And they basically just license everything Disney for it, which is kind of mad to think about how much money that must cost, but equally how much money they must make from it, because they're always expanding it and adding new stuff. So yeah, it's actually owned by a non-Disney company, and I think for that reason it's got a lot of good reviews, because it's almost as if they have something to show. Like they have to show that they are doing a good job with the Disney brand, and they're not kind of sullying it, I suppose. You know, if you'd went to that park and it was dirty, or the rides kept breaking down, or you just had a bad time of customer experience or whatever, that would look bad on Disney. So they really do have to make an effort to keep their license for it, right? And it shows. It shows. The rides were great. The park was clean. The food was good. Wasn't that expensive, I'd say, and it was fairly good quality. I think I had like a chicken curry thing, actually. That was pretty good. What ride stood out to me? Let's see. What rides did we go on? I don't think there's any ride that we kind of were sad that we missed. There was a couple of rides that were closed, which was a shame. But there's nothing you can do about that. Nothing you can do. So we went on the Beauty and the Beast one, which was good. For being like the most sought after one, the biggest queues though, I thought it was okay. It was okay. It was pretty cool. There's a bit. It's almost like if you've been on Ratatouille, which is in Paris, and I think it is in the America parks as well, where it's a trackless ride. And the technology is so cool for this sort of stuff now. You can really tell a difference between a new ride and an old ride, just how far it's come. So smooth, so seamless. But yeah, it's trackless, so you just, I think, magnets or I don't know how it does it, but you basically get into these teacups and you just float it around and pointed in a particular direction for what to look at a particular time. So in this Beauty and the Beast one, for example, it goes through the story of Beauty and the Beast, but at one point you whiz around a table and Lumiere starts singing, be our guest, and the whole thing starts to come alive and you're spinning around the table, but then you'll get pointed away from the table and it will go dark, and then you'll get spun back around, and then there's suddenly all the food on the table and that's kind of risen up, but because you were controlled, you didn't see it, so it does feel a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more magical. So yeah, and the animatronics and all that stuff, great. Other rides we went on to, the first one that we actually queued up for was Big Thunder Mountain, a classic Disneyland ride. If you've been to Disneyland, I'm sure you've went on it, and I love it because it has that sort of Western cowboy theme in the Western land. Gotta say, not the best Big Thunder Mountain I've been on though. I actually think Paris has the best. Well, I've only been on 2. I haven't been to the America parks. But Paris has Big Thunder Mountain, Big Thunder Railroad, and it's really cool. Like, it's on an island pretty much in Paris. This one's not like that. It was still good. It still has the same elements to it. The drops down, going through the stalagmite, stalactite cave, the sort of false drops and things like that. But one thing that we noticed through most of the rides, actually, in both Disneyland and Disney Sea, was the sort of thrill level was lower. I'm not calling out Japanese people. I guess I am, but I think they have a lower tolerance for thrill in a theme park context, because, well, Disney doesn't really have big scary roller coasters anyway. It's not that sort of theme park, is it? If you want that, you'd go to, I don't know, Six Flags if you're in America, or you go to Alton Towers here in the UK, things like that. But even then, there are some bits of Disney rides which do feel a little bit thrilling. So Big Thunder Railroad, I'd say, is one. I think that's quite good. Space Mountain. Oh no. Okay, double babies. I'm going. Oh my god, no. Why can't I jump? I'm out of food. I'm gonna die. How did that happen? Oh. How did that even just happen? I wasn't paying attention to my food. Panda would be so upset at me. Okay, all good. I wasn't that far away. My stuff is still here. Please don't have... Oh, please don't have splattered too far. It has splattered. I splattered. Don't say that. Anyway, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, thrill. So yeah, not a lot of the rides, I would say, were particularly thrilling. That should have been. As I say, like Space Mountain. Space Mountain in Paris. That knocks you around. That proper batters you about. The Indiana Jones one as well in Paris. That gave me a headache. It's that sort of vibe where it rattles you around so much you come out with your bones bruised. And some people don't like that. I don't know, but most of the rides in Tokyo Disneyland did not feel very thrilling, or they were just really short, and so it was kind of over before you even realised. Not to say they were bad. It's just if you're after that sort of thing, you're not really going to get that there, I would say. Okay, is that everything? I think that's everything. Other rides we went on were... Oh yeah, the Happy... As I say earlier, I bought the Happy... Baymax's Happy Ride as a fast pass thing. I think I bought that. That cost money. Because I'd heard it was really good. That being said, I'd not seen the film. I don't know who Baymax is. I've not seen Big Hero 6. which was a bit of a risk. And then I saw it, and I was like, this can't be it. It was really busy, really big queue. Even the fast pass skip, we still had a bit of a queue. It was that popular. But it was basically just like spinning teacups. Except instead of being in a teacup, you're in a car with Baymax in front of you. And he's spinning you around, or something along those lines. And then this song about being happy comes on. And then all the staff start dancing. And then you just get spun around. For 3 minutes. And then that's it. It wasn't bad. I was happy. Listen, it did what it set out to do. Was I happy? Was I laughing? Yes. Was it worth paying? Probably not. Very strange ride. Other ride, It's a Small World, classic. Again, though, I didn't think that was as good as the one in Paris. It was fine with all the dolls and all the world cultures and all that sort of stuff. But at the end, the one in Paris, at the end, it all goes really bright and there's tons of lights and everything's flashing and shimmering and it's like a big finale. Whereas in this version, no big finale. It just sort of ends. Can I sleep? No. However, I won't bash on Disneyland too much because it was great. It was great. That's one of the things about it is like, yes, you got the rides, but we've also just got the park itself and the design and the theming, and you just get lost in all the different nooks and crannies of the park, and I love that. I love that. That's kind of like why I love Disneyland so much, is not because of Disney and the IPs, or even necessarily the rides. It's the parks themselves and the way they're designed. I've spoken about this before, probably on video, probably when I was doing Morge World. But I just love how the parks are constructed and things like line sites and how they carefully block things out and make things feel different to how it actually is. It's so cool to me. And yeah, so even if the rides weren't stand out, no. Bugger off. I still had a great time regardless. And then Monsters Inc. was a really fun ride. Monsters Inc., yeah, hide and seek I think it was. The premise is you're going around the factory and everything, and you're trying to find Boo. Boo has escaped, and you've got a little gun. It's not a gun, because then you'd be shooting her. I don't know what it was. Some sort of scream thing, maybe. And it was one of those ones where it's like points, right? You know, you shoot things around and see who does best. Except the weird thing is, there was no points. Very, very strange. But I was really expecting there to be some sort of points at the end, and there wasn't. So it's like, well, what was the point of even doing all that? It was very charming. And as Monsters Inc. was one of my favourite Pixar films. I was obsessed with Monsters Inc. when I was younger. I probably talked about that in a Monsters Inc. video I did probably like 12 years ago now, where I did a PS1 week, and I played through Monsters Inc. Scare Island on the PlayStation 1. Probably talked about it there. But yeah, really good. Like the queue for the ride to go in is like the Monsters Inc. factory. And you go past Celia's desk, stuff like that. You see Roz. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm probably forgetting some other rides in Disneyland, but I think we'll leave it there. I've rambled enough about that. Because, frankly, the way more interesting and better park is Tokyo Disney Sea, which was the following day. Disney Sea, I think there's a bit of an interesting premise to this where I'm not going to get this completely right or accurate, but it's along the lines of something like Disney Sea was originally going to be built in America. All the plans for it and all the kind of blueprints and stuff was going to be built in the States, but for some reason or another that didn't pan out. So because they already had everything designed, they just built it in Tokyo when the Oriental Land Company did their thing. And it's, as the name suggests, Disney Sea. It doesn't follow the same layout or theming as Disneyland, where you've got your main kind of plaza, and then you've got Tomorrowland, Western Land, yeah, all that sort of stuff. It's completely separate. And the design for Disney Sea was great. Absolutely great. You start off, you go through, again, huge queue, but not a problem. It did also start with a bit of rain, but that's also not a problem. You go through the gates and you're in what do they call it? Mediterranean Harbour, I think it was. So you're basically in Italy. And it does, having been to a lot of Mediterranean places on a cruise, very good job. Looks great. We went in and immediately wanted to have some breakfast because we skipped breakfast at the terrible breakfast at the hotel. So we went into some Mama Italian names bakery and had what did I have? Oh, like a salami thing, wasn't it? Yeah, it was nice. We had a Mike from Monsters Inc. melon bread. Very good too. Anyway, I won't dwell on the food. The food was good in the park. Much better than Paris. Paris has got stinky food. You'd think for being in Paris, French cuisine, no. Expensive and poor quality, so look out for that if you ever go to Disneyland Paris. Yeah, you're in Mediterranean Harbour. Again, as soon as we stepped in the park, we had to do the whole Fast Pass, Lightning Lane, whatever it's called, Premier Access stuff. So we got passes for Soarin' and what was the other one? Maybe Toy Story? No, it wasn't. Tower of Terror. I think it was Tower of Terror. And maybe 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. A few of them, anyway. So we were feeling kind of confident. We didn't have to rush around everywhere. We had some rides locked in. We could sort of take it a bit slower and just take it all in. So yeah, went in, had some food. And then our Soaring Fast Pass was coming up. So then we walked around. Soaring, which the name kind of suggests you are flying. It's one of these rides where you're on almost on a crane, I think, and you're thrust into this big, very very wide, enveloping projection, and then through very clever use of movement and wind, you feel like you're actually moving. So it's quite a short ride, really, but you're meant to be flying over all these different places across the world. Mount Everest, and then the Sahara, and then a rainforest, and then there's Cosmic Bunnies. Yeah, and then it ends off flying across Tokyo, and fireworks go off. So really cool. I'd heard about this ride from in America, so this was kind of cool to get a chance to go on it without having to go to the States, and it was really good. Like, it's crazy what you can do to your brain to trick you into thinking you're moving. It doesn't take a lot, really. Some very clever movements, very clever use of wind and sound and smells. They use smells as well. So like you're passing through. Was one bit like an Indian bazaar? No, it wouldn't be Indian. I don't know, Moroccan thing, and you'd smell like a spice. And then you go past, I don't know. I can't remember what other smells there were, but it was good. So that was really cool. Then we kind of walked around, and this bit of the park, I was really not expecting Disney Sea to be so big. Just kept going. That was the Mediterranean bit. Then you had a bit with, that was like a kind of fort, like a naval fort. Then you had a bit which was my favourite section. By far my favourite section was like a sort of American Chicago downtown section with a tram going overhead, or like an electric train going overhead, and you turned a corner and there was this huge ship, the SS Columbia, and it was so cool. I mean, it's obviously just a building that looks like a ship, but it looks like a ship. And my inner cruiser came out and I was like, oh, we have to go on there. So we went on the ship, had a look around the decks, and took some photos. And they've got this really cool bar inside. I think there's a restaurant as well. But there's a bar, very Americana based, because it's like the Teddy Roosevelt bar or lounge. And we went in there and had a little cocktail, even though it was only like 11 o'clock. I don't care. Yeah, love that area. Love that whole area. And that was where Tower of Terror was as well. So we did go on Tower of Terror. And Tower of Terror is one of my favourite rides to do with Disney. I love it. I love everything about it. I love the theming of it, particularly the one in Paris, because it's still themed on the Twilight Zone. So you go in and the sort of the pre-show bit, the pre-ride bit, and the queue is with the door, the scary door. And yeah, it's just got such a great vibe. This one didn't have the Twilight Zone aspect, but it did still have a sort of... Oh, and also the one in Paris, the hotel, as you go in the queue, it's like a hotel lobby, but it's all abandoned and spooky and cobwebs. This one is more like the hotel is still running. And there is a story attached to it about some guy that, some collector went and found this little statue in a temple, kind of Indiana Jones-esque, right? And but it was of course the little statue was a demon and it was possessed. So the guy got possessed, and then that's what causes the lift to start freaking out. So that's what Tower of Terror is. You go into a lift, and then you go up, and then the lift drops, and then you get bounced back up, and then the lift drops again, and then you go up, and then a window opens, and you can just see straight out into the park. It's like literally a window from the ride, really high up. So that's spooky. And it was really good. It was. I love the theming of it. Like I say, you go through in the queue. You start off in the hotel a bit, but you go through, and eventually you're in sort of like the archives of this guy's this explorer's treasures. So you're just walking past all these statues and crates and boxes, and it felt like that bit in Indiana Jones with the Ark, when the Ark gets stored, all those bits. Again, though, I will say not as thrilling as the Paris version. In the Paris version, you drop, like your stomach properly drops, and it does not waste any time bouncing you back up. And I think you do at least 3 drops, maybe 4, and the last one is like the big one. This one in Tokyo, I don't think there was as many drops, and I don't think you dropped as far, because it just didn't feel as kind of gut wrenching, which is what you want. It's called Tower of Terror. But it wasn't that terrifying, unfortunately. So if I was ranking them, it would still be Paris on top. And in some of the American parks, haven't they replaced it with like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is just disgusting. Get that crap out of here. God. Yeah. So what else did we do in Tokyo Disney Sea? What other rides were there? There were tons. I'm forgetting so much, but this video is so long already. We did, there was a Toy Story one, Toy Story Mania, I think it's called, which has, this was more terrifying than Tower of Terror. The entrance to Toy Story Mania is a gigantic Woody face with his mouth stretched open, and you walk through it. It's hideous. That is honestly more scary. That's disturbing. But that is another one where you're on rails, and it's like a shooting game. But this one is very much themed around it being a shooting game, like a target bullseye sort of thing. But you also got 3D glasses on as well, so it's a mixture of 3D with shooting, and you get. And the good thing about this one is you actually have points, and you can see your points tot up, and great, honestly, so good. Like I say, newer rides where you've got cool 3D aspects to it. It's so smooth. The video and the projections are so high quality. It's just night and day. You go on one of those, and then you go on an older ride. And the older rides are good for separate reasons, but it's just the technology has come so far. It's so cool. So cool. And the queue for that Toy Story ride was really good too, because you're a toy, right? So everything's huge, and you're going through a big Etch-a-Sketch, or all the monkeys chained together, and a big version of the Army Men and stuff like that. Really fun. And I know Toy Story is very dear to me, so that was a really nice ride. Although I did lose. I did lose the game. I did not get a very good score. That's fine. I still had a good time. And then I'll kind of wrap up Disney Sea, but there were some other rides we went on to. There's a new area of Disney Sea, which only opened last year, called Fantasy Springs. By far the most popular area of the park because it is new. Let's go through that. We haven't been through here. And it's all kind of centered around... Well, it actually hasn't really got one theme, but it's got 3 rides. It's got Rapunzel, Peter Pan, and it's got a Frozen ride. My God, the Frozen ride, it's called like Elsa and Anna's something or other. That was by far the most popular ride in the whole park. You could just tell some other parts of the park of Disney Sea was so empty. It's like, oh man, where is everyone? Oh, they're all in this Disney Fantasy Springs bit, queuing up for over 3 hours to see this Frozen ride. We did not do that. I do not care enough about Frozen to do that. We'd actually bought so many fast passes and stuff. We didn't really we hadn't queued that much on that day. So towards the end of the day, we figured, okay, well, let's not spend any more money. Let's actually queue for a bit because it feels weird to come to a park and not queue at all. So we queued for the Peter Pan ride in Fantasy Springs. God, it was a long queue. It was a long queue. I mean, by the end of it, I was like, would I have paid £10 to skip all that? Probably. Which sounds bad. Like, that's what they want you to do. But it was this really annoying family in front of us as well. It was like this American... I think they were American. Yeah, they definitely were. This American couple who were probably younger than me. And they had about 17 children around them. Like, Jesus, how many are you popping out, lady? But no, they were having a good time. They weren't being that obnoxious, to be fair. I was just surprised there was just more children coming out. So, are you giving birth right now? What's going on? And the ride itself was very good. There is a Peter Pan ride in Disneyland and also in the French park as well. I've never liked it, really. It's always been really weirdly popular. But you're like in a flying ship and you're going over London and then you're going through all the scenes of the film Peter Pan. And I never really thought it was very good. This is like that, but remade with modern tech. So like I say, it's got really good 3D, got really good fluid motion. Just night and day. So this was actually worth the wait, I'd say. I was just so pleased that the 3D actually worked for me. I was really worried it was just not going to work at all. It probably didn't work as good as it could have, but with my dodgy eye, I was still happy. What else is there to say about Disney? I think that's pretty much it. We did a bit of souvenir shopping. The souvenirs weren't great. I've got to say, if they expect people to spend, which they do, there needed to have been better merch. I was desperately trying to find more things that was Tokyo Disney Sea branded. Like I didn't want Frozen branded stuff. I didn't want Peter Pan branded stuff. I wanted park branded stuff. I wanted the stuff about the park because that was what I was interested in. And all I could really find was one t-shirt and one set of magnets. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't looking in the right shops, but I did. Yeah, I bought a couple of things, but not a lot. Also got some popcorn. Man, they love their popcorn. I know popcorn is a theme park staple anyway, but so many different flavors of popcorn all around the park. You got your normal ones, caramel, salted, milk chocolate was one of them. Then you've got your less common, curry, soy sauce and butter, garlic shrimp. Oh, I just blew straight into the mic, sorry. Garlic shrimp, that was. Yeah, very, very strange. Very, very strange. It stunk. Whenever you go past that stall, you could not miss it. Not for me. No, thank you. Anyway, we're gonna leave Disneyland there. It was a really great time. I'm glad we spent 2 days there. I was a bit worried beforehand, like, oh, is this wasting too much time at I don't want to say not Japanese thing. It's obviously not the most culturally unique going to a Disneyland, but equally there is no other Disney Sea in the world. That is the only Disney Sea, and it was great. So I'm definitely glad we spent some time there. Originally, we were going to have 3 days, but by the second day, I was Disneyed out, and I was glad that we only booked in 2 days for it. Yeah, we saw everything we needed to see, basically. So let me just double check. Wait, 1 sec. I'm going to double check my photos, make sure I haven't missed anything. Well, I suppose there's only one other thing I would say about that is that one thing you think about with Disneyland is sort of the end of the night fireworks shows. We did go to both in Disneyland and Disney Sea. Disneyland one was fine. I always think there's sort of a missed opportunity with that because at least the one in this circumstance it's a mixture of fireworks and projections against the castle. But to me, it kind of just felt like a hodgepodge of clips from the films and stuff. It didn't really feel like a sort of unified single vision for what this could be. I'd have expected it to be something like projections on the castle, which makes it look like different things, kind of has an illusion. So maybe the projection makes it look like the castle is crumbling down and then it gets rebuilt and then it's suddenly it's made out of metal and then it's made out of glass, and that combined with music and fireworks and pyrotechnics and stuff like that. Instead it was like, oh, here's some little splodges of Frozen, here's some splodges of Avengers, which was weird to see. A bit of a missed opportunity for me. And then for Disney Sea, I didn't mention, but the big thing about Disney Sea is it's got a huge volcano, right? It's got a huge volcano in the middle of the park and then a big bit of water. So a big lake. And towards the end of the night, these big lights start to pop out of the ground, and this big thing pops out of the middle of the lake, which is meant to be where kind of the spectacle begins for the end of the night show. And so we got into place, and it was dark by this point, obviously. Kind of excited to see how this will play out because it's not just a typical projection on the castle, what they're going to do. Well, what did they do? So the thing that popped out in the middle of the lake had some kind of LED rings that spun around, and it kind of looked like a vape shop if you're from the UK. Like it did not look good. It looked like tacky LED signage in front of a vape shop. I didn't really see what that was adding to the experience. And then that was also where some fireworks came out of and stuff, but fireworks, right? I don't know. I could, unless they're well timed or cleverly used, I think fireworks are a little bit naff. But then the lake, you sort of had all these. You had all these. It's like a flotilla of things come out, and these little boats had all these big screens on, and the screens would show stuff. But again, like the castle, it was just kind of messy. It was like projections and screens of bits from films and I don't know, wasted opportunity. At one point, I saw these little kind of jet skis come out with these lights on the back of them, kind of paper lantern type things. And I was thinking, oh, this is cool. Oh, hello, guys. I'll leave you. I was, oh, this is cool. This might be some sort of choreography, right? With these, or maybe they'll do some stunts. I don't know. Maybe they'll start going up some ramps, cool things like that. No. They just sort of swam in circle or drove in circles, and then I don't know. I thought maybe the volcano does go off, like it does erupt every now and then, and some big flames come out of it and smoke. I thought that would be used more, but no. So that was a bit disappointing. Gotta say, end of the night shows, I probably wouldn't stick around to watch them again. Tool save that Muck is exploring. Well, not anymore. Not anymore. All right. Man, this might have to be a two-parter. It's almost 2 hours, guys. I am almost halfway through the trip, though, to be fair. Screw it, we're going to carry on. Buckle in. Buckle in. Let's go. Let me have some water. Hang on. Okay. So, Disney over. We're now on to day 8 21st of October. What do we do after a hectic couple days in Disney surrounded by tourists and queues and noise and lights and sounds? You want a break. You want to relax. You want to give your feet a break. So that was our travel day. We'd already sent our luggage ahead. One of the things you can do in Japan, which is great, it worked flawlessly and was so easy and so cheap, was you can send your luggage to different places. And we did that a couple times just so that we could be without big bulky suitcases for some parts of the trip, including this one. And no faults. It was always so simple to do. You could usually do it at your hotel. Barely any questions asked. As I say, very affordable. Highly recommend doing. Do not worry about your suitcases at all. So yeah, we've done that. So we were getting a train, which was, it's called the romance car. This train. It's meant to be like a nice express train that goes from Tokyo to, well, we were getting off at Hakone was the place it was called. Not that far from Tokyo, but a place very much known for its onsens. It's hot springs and baths. So we'd booked a ryokan, which is a kind of more authentic hotel, usually where you get your food included, and they would have private baths, stuff like that, kind of traditional. That being said, the one that we ended up going with was quite modern. It wasn't maybe the most authentic and traditional. It's still nice though, but it wasn't like some little old lady was coming in and giving you the food. It wasn't like that. So yeah, we got this romance car train to Hakone, and we'd tried to get in early and book weeks ago a really good seat for this train, because either end of the train were observation carriages, so they'd have big windows and nice seats. Well, they were all nice seats really on the train, but big windows, good ways to view out, because we were desperately hoping the weather would be good this day, as it would be passing by Mount Fuji, and it's meant to be one of those things where if the weather's clear, this would be a really great way to see Mount Fuji, because you'd be sat in your seat, you'd have your food, you'd have your drink, you'd have these lovely views, you'd be travelling to wherever you wanted to go, and it would just be, chef's kiss, right? Well, no. It was cloudy, it was overcast, you could not see Mount Fuji at all. In fact, we only saw Mount Fuji, despite being humongous, we only saw Mount Fuji once, and that was on the train back to the hotel, back to the airport to go home from afar, which is really, a shame. But I think I read somewhere that on average there's only 80 days a year where it's like perfectly clear weather to see Mount Fuji. It's always going to be wrapped up in some level of cloud, and this particular day it was completely wrapped up in cloud, so never mind. It was still a nice train trip. We had our ekibens, which is like a kind of like a bento box, specifically really for train travel. Like you'll see these shops that sell ekibens at a train station, and it is just like, a little bit of chicken, a little bit of rice, a little bit of this and that and whatever. It's kind of fun. I'll stick a picture of mine. Mine was a chicken one. It's kind of a bit of a novelty for me, but I think people do. Yeah, it is a thing. Like, it's a way you eat on the train. I also think maybe they're designed not to be too smelly. That's very much a thing in the culture, isn't it? You don't want to be loud. No phone calls. No phone calls on train. If you need to take a phone call, go into the vestibule. And also no stinky food. So, yeah. We had that. We got to the ryokan. And to be fair, as I said earlier, this was a day to rest. We didn't do much else. We wanted to. We'd paid to have this nice hotel. We'd paid to have they had open baths, like public baths. Now I was a little bit nervous of this, because there's a lot of rules that you're meant to follow in these public baths. First of all, obviously it's split men and women. But some places, if you've got tattoos, you're not getting in. If you've got piercings, you're not getting in. Fine for me. I don't have either of those, but. For me, it's like you are fully nude, and you have to, you can't. What are some of the rules? You can't start washing hair. You can't start using it like a like a shower or anything. You just sit down, right? And I don't know. I just didn't know how comfortable I'd be stripping off and going out in front of everyone. Sometimes you get a little towel which you're meant to put on your head, but it's like a little towel that you can like cover yourself with as you go into the bath. Even with that, I would have been I don't know if I could have enjoyed it, frankly. I think it would have been too much on my mind. But this ryokan did have private baths, so you could rent them out for free. It's just you'd have to go and say like, okay, we're going to use this bath for 90 minutes or whatever. Even better than that, we did splurge a bit and we booked a room which had a bath. Hey, no. We had a bath in the room itself, like on the balcony. And oh my goodness, I'm so glad we did that. Like in hindsight, we could have maybe used one of the private baths because they were bigger. But damn. We just used the one on our own balcony because why not? So it was so nice. It was so nice. Like the water was so hot, and we do have a balcony, and no one can see in. Obviously, it's fairly private. It's all covered with trees and foliage, and there's some nice statues out there to look at. And I'll stick a video in. Maybe I did take a video, just one moment where it's just you can just see the steam rising from the bath. You can see, I think it was raining outside, which is just, that's icing on the cake. When you're in a jacuzzi or something, in a hot bath and it's raining, it just feels like you've won at life. It really does. And so you could hear the pitter-patter and dripping of rain on the leaves whilst you were just relaxing and stewing in this hot bath. It was bliss. It was bliss. I took a video. Don't worry, you can't see anything. Yeah, here you go. So yeah, spent a good while in there for the evening. We rented not a kimono, a yukata is what they're called. They had this thing near the check-in desk where you could rent a yukata, which is basically like a I don't know if I think they are unisex actually, but it is kind of like a not a kimono, but something you'd wrap yourself up in, and it's very nicely decorated, and you just look kind of cool in it. So we thought we'd do that. We dressed up, I suppose. Got to make sure you wear it right. One of the things is you've got to have it put in the right order when you fold it over yourself. So the left flap has to be on top. If it's under, that's only for use during funerals or something. You'd wear it like that, so you have to be careful. Yeah, so we donned those. Let's see if I've got a picture of myself in one of them. Donned that and then went for food. Now, I think sometimes you can get in Ryokans, they do bring the food to your room. And you'd sit in your little tatami mats and you'd enjoy it there. I would have preferred that. Unfortunately, in this scenario, it was like a restaurant room you'd have to go to. And the food, I mean, if you like Japanese food and seafood and trying new things, you'd love it. I did go out of my comfort zone. I wasn't going to go to Japan and be like, oh, I'm not eating that. Oh, that looks weird. No. Oh, that's seafood. No. I did try more or less everything on my tray. I don't know if I've got a picture of the food. Maybe we took a picture of the food. If we have, I'll put it on screen. God knows what it all was now. But yeah, there might be like a bit of octopus or a lot of raw fish, obviously, which I'm not usually one to partake in. But I did try it. It was okay. The thing is, that's just not what I like. It's just as simple as that. Like, I don't like that sort of food where it's all like little bits. Because to me, it all just sort of blurred together, all the flavour. Nothing really stood out to me in terms of the flavour. And I do feel kind of bad saying that because I'm sure it was really nice. But I think it was just a bit wasted on me. Oh, baked potatoes. One dime. Yeah, okay. I'll take some baked potatoes. I'm bored of bread. 3 stacks. 1 diamond. There you go, weather. I think it says weathers. So yeah, the food was fine for me. My other half very much enjoyed it. They loved it. They love that sort of stuff. But I did not. I didn't hate it. I just didn't enjoy it. Anyway, that was pretty much the whole evening. We just ate, we went back, we relaxed, probably went in the bath again. And yeah, just chilled out really. The next day, now on to day 9. Good lord. Day 9. 22nd of October. Had another bath in the morning. Wanted to make use of that private bath. And then we set out to explore some of Hackney. We had a slight problem earlier. We'd lost track of the days and stuff. We thought we had more time in Hackney, but actually we'd pre-booked a Shinkansen, a high-speed train to Kyoto, which was our next destination, quite early on in the day, like 12 o'clock. And that actually left us no time to explore Hackney. So last minute cancellation of that. Thankfully got most of our money back. Rebook a later train. So we had more of the day to spend in Hackney. And started off by going down Old Tokaido Road. Which, did I go through here in the end? I did, didn't I? Which is one of the old ancient roads of Japan. And it's kind of cool really because you can see, I'm going to get this a bit wrong, forgive me, but something along these lines. It's tree lined, right? And when I'm saying tree lined, these are huge, huge cedar trees, humongous, and thick, really thickly, densely lined. And the reason for that was whenever this was planted, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, by order of the shogun, he wanted that so that the roots would stay, right? The ground would be rooted down by those trees, and nothing could replace them. And it's sort of like as a mark of their reign, I suppose. And that is very much the case to this day. I think a lot of them were damaged during the war, unfortunately. I mean, you all see that a lot in a lot of the attractions, and particularly the older stuff. So much of Japan and Tokyo has been just rebuilt. But the thing is, they rebuild it in the same style. So yes, it is only from the 60s or whatever, but it looks like it is hundreds of years old. And yeah, so a lot of the bombings and stuff did damage. So much stuff burned down. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so I had a look at this ancient road. Pretty cool. It did start to rain at that point, and we were getting a little bit worried because we'd managed to dodge most of the rain this trip. But at this point, it was coming down a little bit harder than we'd liked. We weren't really prepared. We had umbrellas, but we didn't have anything like a rain jacket or something to protect our bags. Because yeah, by this point, we were bag only. We'd taken what clothes we'd needed, sent our suitcases ahead. So if anything happened to the clothes in here, we were screwed. Well, do you know, they eventually ended up getting soaked. My bag was not waterproof. My clothes got wet. It was a disaster. Anyway, we found the Torii Gate of Peace, which is big Torii Gate near, what's that lake called? Hang on. Is it Lake Ashi? Lake Ashi? Yeah, Hackney Lake, Lake Ashi. And there's a super Instagrammy Torii Gate there, which we looked at, and it was so much so that it has a queue lined out for it, and it even has a thing saying don't spend more than 3 minutes taking a photo. And we looked at a few people taking a photo, and it's just so it's what are you getting out of having that photo? I mean, I know it's just for Instagram, it's for social media, but you're taking a photo that literally thousands and thousands of other people will have the identical photo. I mean, who am I to... I shouldn't be so negative, really. People want what they want, but I don't know. It did sort of take away from it. This beautiful environment, and you just got this queue of tourists. So we just wanted to see the gate, really. Which was built not long after the war ended, Second World War. Hence why it was Torii Gate of Peace. Then it really started to chuck it down. So we took cover in this bakery. We had some little bakery bites. We met these lovely Australian ladies. These 2 Australian ladies who were also just taking shelter for a bit out of the rain. They kind of started to make a little bit of small talk with them because we had nothing else to do whilst we were sort of working out what our next steps were going to be. You could tell, like, they were probably long retired now, and they were just on a cool kind of trip together as friends, or maybe as lovers, who knows. But it was quite funny because they was like, oh, what have you been up to? How have you been? What's the trip been like so far? Blah, blah, blah. And they had only just got to Hakone and they were going to spend a few days here. And they were talking about, oh yeah, we're just about to go into a ryokan and the bars and stuff like that. And we're like, oh yeah, we've just come from one of those. It was really good. And one of the Australian ladies was saying, oh yeah, what was the food like? I hope it's not very fishy. I can't stand fishy food. And we were like, yeah, sorry, lady, it's gonna be fishy. And then she was like, oh no, kind of gagging a bit. Why on earth? I mean, even I'm not that stupid to come to Japan and not think food is going to be fishy. Come on. So I hope she was all right. Who knows what food she ate when they got there, but or whether she just ate it and then brought it back up. Who knows? After that, it really started to rain, so we headed to the station. We got back from Hakone to Odawara, which is a city very close to Hakone. That's where the Shinkansen stops. And we got the Shinkansen from Odawara to Kyoto. Kyoto. I'm probably getting the pronunciations all wrong. In the westernized way, Kyoto. But yeah, it was. I loved, as I said before, I love the trains. I love the Shinkansen. I'm a big train nerd anyway. But these trains, first of all, they just look so cool. It's the ones with the really long noses on the first carriage for the aerodynamics of it. I mean, it's the original. It's the bullet trains, right? That's what they were. That's what they were called. And they're so smooth, so fast, expensive. They're not cheap for being the high speed trains. You do pay the premium for that. Like a ticket, I think cost maybe £60 to get from there to Kyoto, but it was a long trip. And yeah, just kind of sat and relaxed and really nice seats. Very good. Although the lady who does, obviously all the announcements are in Japanese, but they're also in English. And there's a lady who does, I think she's a voice actress for some video games or something, who does the voice of the announcements on the Shinkansen trains. And we were saying, whilst listening to it, she puts on this accent of almost like a British voice, right? She sounds, please mind the doors. And this is the Shinkansen to Kyoto, stopping at blah, blah, blah. But she's not British. She's Australian. So every now and then, you'd have this sort of seemingly British accent, and then this really obvious Australian bit would start to show through. So she'd be like, I don't know. I'm not even going to try and do it. It just made me think of the Merry Gamer. What's up, guys? Merry Gamer here. And it's just kind of a bit, ooh, that's weird. But yeah, got the train. Now, part of the panic earlier when we were trying to reorganise a day and rearrange this train is that we'd booked a theatre show for once we'd reached Kyoto in the evening. We really tried to cram a lot in this day. So that's when we were contemplating, do we just cancel that, get the money back for it and not bother, or do we still try and make it? And so with this particular train that we booked, we thought we could still make it. We timed it. The train got in at like 6:30. The show started at 7. So we were on a run. No, so many thunderstorms. We were on a run, but we did make it. It was a very whistle-stop tour of Kyoto as we were walking through it. But we didn't have our suitcases. That was good. Our suitcases were already in the hotel. And the theatre show was called Gear, Gear, non-verbal theatre. And I'd just seen it recommended a lot on Reddit. And the fact it's non-verbal, you know, it's meant to be more visually based and sensory, and you don't really have to worry, and not going to start doing a proper storyline, and you can't follow it because it's in Japanese. And it was very much that. It was this story about, I won't go into it too much, but it was sort of this story about 4 robots, and then there's this new robot lady that came in, and the robot lady has magic powers and makes the other robots skilled at something. And it was just a bit of a hodgepodge of entertainment. So one of the robots suddenly became human, and they could break dance. So this guy started to break dance, but it was like combined with projections and not magic, but music and stuff. One of them was a magician, so one of the robots was turned into a magician, and he was doing all these cool card tricks, and there was a bit of audience interaction. Another one was a mime, very old school, like a mime artist, and I was like, oh, all right, wow, I've not seen someone do mime for a long time. Is this the portal now? This is the portal. That's cool. And then the last guy was a juggler. I did feel a bit bad for the juggler because he was good, but he did drop the what was he juggling? Like bowling pins, right? And he did drop them, and it's fine, right? Because you just pick them up and you don't dwell on it. But I think you could tell once he'd messed up once, it just sort of set off his whole routine, and he messed up like 3 or 4 more times. And I felt really bad for him because everyone else had done it flawlessly, and it was just him that was messing up. And by the end, he was just, you could tell, he was just a bit fed up and was just in a jokey way, just like, oh, fling them away, I give up. But it was a cool show. It was kind of weird. It was a weird thing to have all this day of travelling and seeing the shrines and seeing the Torii gates and getting caught in the rain. And then suddenly you're in a theatre seeing like a robot and a mime. Not a real robot, by the way. These are people, actors as robots. Yeah. It was good. It was good. And we were there with our tickets. I went up and said, like, you know, we've got our tickets. Konnichiwa. And then she said, is it your birthday? Is October your birthday month? And she pointed to this thing on the counter and said, is it your birthday? And I said, yeah, it is actually. Yeah, my birthday was on the 9th. And I showed her my passport. I was like, yeah, look, there you go, October. And she's like, great. Because it's your birthday, you get a gift from us. And then she just handed me 1,000 yen note. It was so random. It's like, wait, you're paying me? We also got a voucher for the shop. Like 1,000 yen off any sort of souvenir from the shop. Which we didn't do in the end because it was really busy and really small. But it was just so weird to actually get... You'd never get that anywhere else. You'd never get that in the UK. Like a sort of... If it was a birthday treat, it might be... Yeah, like a money off. You'd have to spend money still, but like a money off voucher. Or, I don't know, like a free... Something free. Like a free pamphlet or a free guide. Never would you literally just get money back. They would never give you money. Imagine someone just giving you a £5 note for something. No. But yeah, she was like, oh, here's your 1,000 yen. Oh, thanks. Very, very strange interaction, but I appreciated it. Yeah. So anyway, that was day 9, 22nd of October. Day 10. What did we do? Oh, day 10, 23rd of October. This was a biggie. This was something we'd pre-booked. Kyoto. Again, we were in Kyoto. We'd booked into a hotel. Tons to see in Kyoto. Heard a lot about Kyoto being better than Tokyo because Kyoto didn't get bombed during the war. It was actually, I think, on specific instruction from a particular US Army general, someone close to the president, or General MacArthur, whoever it was, who specifically instructed, do not bomb Kyoto because they had visited. It's such a crazy story. They'd visited Kyoto previously and said, oh, it's too beautiful. We can't do that. So no, bomb everywhere else, nuke them in other places, but do not bomb Kyoto. So a lot of the stuff is still there. Basically, it's old, and it's still as it was, unchanged. Did we see any of that? No. First thing we did, and our first proper full day in Kyoto, Nintendo Museum. Oh baby, yes. It's fairly new, the Nintendo Museum. It's not in Tokyo, as you might think, because their headquarters are in Kyoto. So it actually used to be an old factory, like an old cartridge factory, which they just turned into a museum because they had the land, I guess. Let's sleep. And yeah, fairly new. I think it only opened last year or maybe a couple of years ago. You have to do like a whole sort of lottery thing to get tickets, which we were fortunate enough to get. And we got there for about 11 o'clock. Thinking we'd only spend a few hours before moving on to seeing some shrines, seeing some temples, yada, yada, yada. No, we spent like 5 hours here. It was great. It was great. It was... I'd read some actual bad reviews about it being not very interesting and not a lot of kind of history about Nintendo. For being a museum, it was kind of lacking. I disagree. I think it was actually pretty good. It was weirdly laid out though, and it did have some weird features. So you go in and there's lots of sort of security, get your ticket, blah, blah, blah. We got really cool 40th anniversary Mario ones for our entry cards. And these cards are really important for later on, I'll explain. You go in, and even before the entrance, there's some bits outside for some photo opportunities. So there's Mario pipes you can go and pose in. Really cool. It's even better is there's like employees there that will just take photos for you. So if you're a couple, you can have photos of you together because the employees will take them. Very good. Very good, very good. Yay. So we have some nice photos. You get in. The first thing we did before we even started looking at the museum is we went and booked a crafting session. So there's a restaurant in the museum. There's obviously a gift shop. There's the museum itself. And then there's like a sort of craft studio bit. And that's where they have a little section to do with Hanafuda cards. So, no, is that what they're called? Hanafuda or Hanafuka? Hanafuda. Yeah, Hanafuda. And Hanafuda cards, if you don't know, they're basically like playing cards. They're really small. They're not like regular size playing cards. And it's basically how Nintendo started. Way back in 1890, whatever it was. They started by printing cards. And then eventually moved into toys and then video games. So they had this whole section for either learning how to play Hanafuda, which we didn't do. Kind of wish we did. Or a crafting session to make your own Hanafuda cards, printing them, which was really cool. So we signed up for that, and that was going to be in a few kind of like hour or two's time. So wanted to lock that in before it became unavailable. And then we went into the museum itself. The museum is sort of split into two different sections. You've got the actual museum-y bit, which... You go up some stairs, really cool. You kind of queue up, and then you get some little spiel from the employees, and then they open the gates, and you tap in with your card. You go up the escalators, and as you're doing that, you're hearing all the sounds of the console startup sounds, like the GameCube and the Wii, N64. And you go up, and then you're suddenly in this gigantic room, and you're not allowed to take photos. No photos. They're very, very clear on that. No photos of this section. So I have got no photos. But big glass cabinets, each with different sections based on different consoles. So, whole sections based on Game Boy, SNES, NES, or Famicom, as it would have been called. GameCube, tons. Switch. But also sections based on sort of themes, not just consoles as well. So they had a whole cabinet about the way that Nintendo makes you move, right? So you'd have, throughout its history, I can't remember exactly like the old school stuff, but like the DK bongos, right? Like that sort of movement-based gameplay, and then the Wii Fit, and then Ring Fit, stuff like that. And then it'd have a whole section. Oh my god, there's a great bit with prototypes for controllers. So you could see kind of, the prototype models for the N64 or the Wii, and then the Wii U, which the prototype is literally a tablet with 2 Wii controllers stuck either side. You may have seen a photo of it, but it's really cool to see it in person. It was really cool. And then these whole cabinets in the middle would have all the consoles. They'd have consoles broken apart so you could see the insides, all the different variants, all the different coloured Game Boys, the translucent ones, blah, blah, blah. All the different games and box arts. And then you'd have kind of the Japanese region box art. You'd have the European region. Then you'd have the American region box art. Got to say, often very much screwed over with box art when it comes to Europe and North America. Usually always the Japanese box art was the best. And for some reason they just decided to screw it up for the Western countries. Don't know. So yeah, that bit was like the kind of learny, museumy bit. That being said, I think I would agree slightly with the fact that there could have been more information. All these cabinets did have text on them, but it wasn't a ton of text. And it would have been nice to have a bit more, maybe like an audio guide. I don't know. Something else a bit more to read and learn. It was a little bit overwhelming in a way. Because there was no proper guide, no route to it. So you went up these escalators and then bam, you're just surrounded by everything Nintendo. And it's like, oh my god, where do I start? There was also a section which was like a little gallery, which is also quite new as well, this bit. And this is where they had some really cool artwork and kind of video game design documents from different franchises, Mario, DK, Zelda. And you could just see some really early designs of things. And what I found the coolest was like designs of levels. So you had the design of World 1, 2 from Mario, like the underground one. And you had that all sort of, hand-drawn and annotated. But then you also had hand-drawn version of Bob-omb's Battlefield from Super Mario 64. And it's just really cool seeing that. Like seeing it all kind of very early in development and just, there's like where the chain chomp's going to be, and you sort of get a rough idea of, that's like the balls coming down the mountain. But yeah, they also had a really cool kind of souvenir collector's book, all to do with this gallery section, which we bought. Very good. And again, though, like I was mainly interested in the Mario bit. There was tons. There was a Kirby section, Splatoon, the usual stuff, the stuff that I don't really play. Big Zelda section didn't really mean a lot to me, but then the Mario bit was really cool. Man, I am losing steam. I might need to take a break. Maybe I will. Let me just get the Nintendo Museum bit done out of the way first. Then, so that was the museumy bit, right, of the museum. There's a whole other section, and this is where your card really came into play, because your card gets loaded with 10 virtual coins, 10 Mario coins. And the other bit of the museum is basically like a little amusement, like a little arcade bit where you can play games. Very, very strange, but I guess that is Nintendo, right? They like to do things a bit weird and very interactive and fun, right? So, you went down and then suddenly you've got all these different types of mini games you can play, and you have to spend your coins on them. Now, you don't have enough coins to do everything, so you have to choose what you want to play. And one mini game might cost 2 coins, and one might cost 4 coins if it's a really intricate one. And some were themed on sort of Nintendo's history outside of video games. So there was a mini game where you had like a extender grabby thing, and you had to grab balls off of a conveyor belt that's moving along, and that's because that's one of their toys they made in the 60s or whatever. It was like a sort of stretchy, grabby accordion thing. Or there's another one where it was a batting. You were in batting cages. We didn't do that one, but yeah, like a batting cage, because again, a toy they made before video games was a kind of automatic shooting baseball toy. So you'd hit them. There was one that we did do, which was like a big shooting gallery, and it had, you were competing against maybe 15 people all in a line, and there was these giant screens in front of you. And it was Mario themed, so you'd be shooting Goombas and Koopas and stuff like that. And you had the choice of either a gun, like what are they called? What's the gun called? Like the duck hunt gun, or a super scope. I was very tempted by the super scope because it's so cool and it's the one that rests on your shoulder. However, as I was looking at people, I was like, oh man, I can tell the people with just the pistol type gun, they're doing way better. Like it's so much easier to aim. So I went with that in the end. I did not win. It kind of came up on screen who was the winner, but it was still really fun. I'm surprised that I didn't theme it around duck hunt though. Maybe they don't want ducks, like children killing ducks in this day and age, but this is weird. Yeah, it was Mario themed. And then, there was such a cool bit. There was like a whole section with giant controllers from all the consoles, and you'd have to play like a sort of mini game related to a game on that console. So there was a giant N64 controller, and then the mini game was Mario 64, and you'd have to like defeat Bowser, spinning him around, and then kill a thwomp. Not a thwomp. What's the ones that are flat? The ones that go flat, and then, hey, no, stop that. Maybe is it a womp? A womp and a thwomp? Yeah, and then a giant version of. So we did queue up for the giant N64 controller because it did look fun, especially when you span. You do the spin to throw. Oh no, not again! I'm not dying again. I'm really far away as well. When you're doing the Bowser boss and you have to spin him around, and you just spin around the joystick really, really quickly. Okay, I need to not die, please. Oh no, I'm getting shot. No. Please, I'm so far away. Oh, please. Oh no, there's a creeper there. No. Okay, yeah. So the queue was too long. We didn't have time. So instead, we did the giant Wiimote, which was still really fun. And you had to aim it. It was like a two-person thing. It was so big. Two people had to hold it. And then it was I think it was maybe Wii Sports. You were flying around in the plane and you had to go through loads of rings, or no, pop loads of bubbles. Was that Wii Sports maybe, or Wii Fit Adventure? Maybe that had that. No, it wouldn't have been Wii Fit because there was a giant Wii Fit board as well. There was everything. A giant Wii Fit board. I don't think there's a giant GameCube controller actually. Maybe that was a bit too much. But there was Famicom. Yeah, stuff like that. Really, and the best thing about that, I didn't even realise throughout all these mini games, is that there was a camera, and it would take photos of you throughout the game. So I've actually got these photos of us with the giant Wiimote, which is really cool. But yeah, we had to go and do our crafty session, making our Hanafuda cards. So we went and did that, and that was so good. I loved it. I was in my element. It was like being back at school, right? It's like doing an episode of Art Attack, because you came in and they had this nice little crafty studio, with, long benches, everything you need on there, all your ink, all your implements, and then you get this one pack. You'd pick your design. There was different designs of Hanafuda cards. You pick your design, and all the instructions were there. It was like a Nintendo video game guide. It was like a Wii instruction thing. It was so clear, and yeah, you go through, you get your inks, you dab up your inks, you get your templates, you get your stencil, and you slowly go through all the colours, building up your colours to build these really pretty cards, different designs. My one had a deer on. It was so pretty, and it was very, very satisfying, and it was also kind of, yeah, again, like a nice break from all the hustle and bustle, because you just sit and have a nice quiet moment doing some craft. So, and it wasn't that expensive. It was like £10 to do this, and you ended up with your own little set of Hanafuda cards. Highly, highly recommend. Now, as I say, I also wish we'd done the learn to play Hanafuda. I have no clue how to use these cards I've made, but also we went past where you do that once we were finished, and it looks really cool. You're on these big kind of video screens, like tables with screens on them, and it looks like everything's sort of projected with how you're meant to move the cards, and it seems really kind of, yeah, a high-tech way to learn a card game. So I wish we'd have done that, but anyway, never mind. Yeah, it was really good. I'm sure I've got some photos to show of me looking very happy with my Hanafuda cards. And then, to end off the museum, we went to the gift shop, which is called the bonus stage, because you in a bonus stage in a video game, like you earn money, right? You earn points. Not in this one. In this one, you spend your money big time. And it was a good gift shop. It wasn't the best gift shop, I'm going to say. I wanted more stuff. There was basically tons of sections all branded around the different consoles. So it was the same items, but each one would have the Wii, and then it would have Famicom, and then it would have the GameCube and the N64. Blah, 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 blah. It would be like a pen, a notebook, a t-shirt, a sticker, enamel pin, magnet. But it'd be the same stuff, but just the different consoles or handhelds. And it was fun. It was nice, but I wish there was a bit more about the sort of museum as a whole. I did get a Nintendo Museum t-shirt, which was quite nice. And I think I got a Game Boy pin. There was other stuff. There was also giant versions, kind of like the giant games that we just played of the consoles. There was giant cushions of the controllers. They were so big. I think there was more, but they were probably sold out. So all was left was this gigantic cushion of an N64 controller and a gigantic cushion of a Wiimote. We kept on seeing people with these huge bags beforehand, and we're like, what the hell is in those bags? They're so big. That's what was in them. Man, I did want a Wiimote, but they were really expensive, and how the hell would I have taken it home? So, yeah, sadly we didn't. But good gift shop. Good gift shop. And good experience. It's kind of weird because it is out of the way of Kyoto. You have to take a train for a little while, maybe like 30, 40 minutes. So you get off at the station, and there's just nothing else there. Like, it is just the outskirts, right? It's not a touristy place. So you get off and you just go through these couple streets, and you can tell it's maybe getting a bit more touristy because they've now got the Nintendo Museum there. But that is really all you really do. Like, the best thing to do after that, get back on the train, head back into central Kyoto, for sure. But great time. Great time. Even as not a massive Nintendo person, I like Nintendo. And I like the sort of culture of Nintendo, apart from all those nerds. Even for someone like me, I got a lot out of it. I thought it was great. So if you're a big Nintendo nerd, it will be like heaven. My God, it'll be amazing for you, honestly. Anyway, that's now 2.5 hours. And I'm only on day 9 of a 16-day trip. So I think I might take a break. Maybe I'll take a break. And maybe this can be should it be a 2-parter, or should I just combine it? No, it's going to be one bumper massive video. I don't care. But yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go rest my voice, go have some food. I'll be back, talk more about my lovely trip to Japan. Back in a bit. Okay, we're back. I've had a little break, I've had some food, rested my voice. I'm ready to ramble again for 2 more hours or something crazy. I don't know. I'm very aware that this video is, well, it's not even a video, it's a podcast. It's a podcast. I don't really expect anyone to watch this or listen to this. It's really for my own benefit because I've done this in the past and it's just been a nice way to kind of document things quite recently after they happened for me in terms of the trips and holidays. So yeah, this really is quite a selfish thing I'm just doing for myself, just to note this all down, get this all on video. If this is interesting to you and you're treating this like a podcast or something along those lines, that's great, thank you. But yeah, I don't really know if anyone's going to watch this. Anyway, excuse me. So I finished off talking about... Oh, where's it gone? There we go. Oh, yes, the Nintendo Museum. Oh, hello up there. What did we do for the rest of that day? So by the time we finished, it was kind of... I think it was almost like 2, 3 p.m. So not a lot of daylight left. Sunset starts around 5. But we did still want to see some shrines and stuff like that. So there is obviously tons of shrines and temples to see in Kyoto, famous ones. There's one that we never got the chance to go to, unfortunately, which is, I forget the name of it, but it's like a golden one. It's all gold painted or gold leafed. Very pretty, but no, we didn't see that. So we went to go see Fushimi Inari. Fushimi Inari, which is another famous shrine. It's the Fox Shrine. And yeah, I can't remember exactly kind of what makes it so special. I think maybe just it's very great. I mean, it is very big, and it also has, it's the one that has the 1,000 torii gates, if that sounds familiar to you. Really densely lined torii gates, the red gates, all jam-packed. And it's kind of interesting, really, because it's almost like the gates are, they're very pretty, and you walk through and it's very Instagrammy, except there's just tons of people, so you have to try and time it right to get a good photo when no one's in it. But if you actually look at them, all the gates, they're kind of, it's like patrons, it's like sponsors would pay for a gate, I guess, to get a blessing or something along those lines. So every now and then, they've all got writing on them, but every now and then you'd see one that has, English text on it, and it'll be this company, and that they would have been the ones that paid for that particular gate, and it's just kind of strange to see. But anyway, very pretty. Yeah, a lot of tourists. This is the thing with Kyoto, and I've got to say, in hindsight, sorry, where I've had that food, I had a bagel, I had a nice cheese bagel, but now I'm needing to cough a lot. A lot of people say that Kyoto is nicer than Tokyo, for the reasons I mentioned earlier about it being all still there and a little bit less chaotic than Tokyo, maybe. I didn't really vibe with Kyoto, and I think it's because of the tourists. I know that's very hypocritical of me to say as a tourist there, but it was just so busy. I did not get that vibe of it being more chill at all. If anything, I thought it was the opposite. So like, Tokyo is chaotic and busy, but it's also really big, so you can kind of spread out. Whereas the Kyoto hotspots are just bustling to the extent that it just kind of takes away from it, really. So yeah, the Fushimi Inari, that's what it's called. That shrine was nice. Got some nice photos there. The 1,000 torii gate thing goes up really far. I don't know if it's got a name, that mountain or hill or whatever it is, but it does go up very, very high to the top. So you could go all the way to the top. However, oh my god, it's Red Star. Yo. You could go all the way to the top, probably get some lovely views. And also, the further you go up to the top, the less tourists will go, because, as soon as they get their photo at the bottom, that's it, they're done. They won't go very high up. Unfortunately, we would have done that, but it was getting too dark, and I really didn't want to do it in the dark. We just weren't prepared. We didn't have any water. We didn't have any food or any snacks. We just weren't ready for it. So we went up fairly high. and timed it quite nicely for a sunset view of Kyoto. There's this little kind of photo spot where you could stand and just look at the sunset, and it's crazy. It's crazy how quick the sun sets when you've got a panorama like that and kind of setting over the mountains. Really cool. Surrounded by people. Don't get me wrong. Don't think we were there on our own in this really romantic setting and it's just us. No, there was tons of tourists all around us, but it was still a nice view nonetheless. And you could see the Nintendo HQ all lit up far in a distance, which is pretty cool. I like to think that's where the magic happens. That's where they make the games themselves. Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice. It's just a shame about all the crowds, really. Because then you just get stupid people as well. Oh, stupid people that just are loud or ignorant or disrespectful. So, Goose's Nest minecart access. Okay. Anyway, after the sunset, there wasn't really much else we did that evening apart from food. I can't remember what we had to eat. What did we eat in Kyoto? Oh, I can't remember. I did eat a lot of... I haven't talked a lot about the convenience stores yet, which is a huge aspect. So many convenience stores. Tons and tons and tons of... there's 3 that I can think of. There's probably more. Family Mart is one of them. 7-Eleven is another one, which is strange. I always thought 7-Eleven was just an American thing. No, turns out it's actually Japanese and huge. Thousands and thousands of 7-Elevens in Japan. And another one called Lawson's, which we didn't go into as much. There aren't as many Lawson's, and I didn't think they were quite as good. But Family Mart and 7-Eleven, oh my goodness. Everything you'd need. Never have to worry about anything. It was always so cheap. So many of them. You could get money out for free. You name it, they had it. Really good food too. You'd think convenience store food would be bad, but actually... Their hot food counter, which was always near the tills, oh my god, their fried chicken. Oh no. What the hell? That's getting a screenshot. Their fried chicken was far better than it had any right to be. If you think about hot food sat in a heater all day, you think it'd be horrible. No, this fried spicy chicken was juicy, moist, flavourful, crispy. Oh my god. And it was like £1.50. So good. And also Family Mart, going back like 5 hours ago now, when I was saying about how all the trains had chimes and little jingles. Family Mart has the best little jingle as you go in. I won't do it because it's a chime, but you have to look it up. It's this lovely little chime as you go in. Always put a little smile on my face. Is that a copper zombie? Cop a feel of this. Why are you so quiet? That's why. Yeah, so the last thing we did in Kyoto that day, we did eat somewhere, I can't remember where, was do some laundry. Yes, as I say, we'd been reunited with our suitcases, which had been sent ahead to Kyoto, but we hadn't packed 2 weeks worth of clothes on purpose, so had to try and work out how the laundry worked. It was very easy actually in the end. It did feel a bit weird because it's like you're sat in this laundry or laundromat and waiting half an hour for the wash and then waiting another half an hour for the dry. And it's just like, I'm sat in Kyoto doing laundry. Like, why am I not going out into a bar or enjoying something? But it's the fundamentals, it's the basics. Sometimes you have to just forgo what you want to do just to get these things done. It's kind of a weird vibe, just sat there. Anyway, that was day 10. We are nearing the end. I'm going to speed up towards the end. Day 11, 24th of October. We were checking out of the hotel for Kyoto. We really didn't have long in Kyoto. We were moving on. So we sent our luggage forward to Hiroshima, which was going to be near the end of the trip. The next few days were actually going to be suitcase free. and then we were going to be reunited with our luggage towards the end in Hiroshima. Hiroshima? I don't know. Potato. And after that, we realised that the Nintendo Kyoto store was just around the corner from our hotel. So another little Nintendo store shop. Not a lot to say, just got some more stuff. Really cool. Giant Mario face in the window. Then we went to... I wrote down all these temple names and shrine names. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail because, as I've said before, a lot of these shrines do sort of blend together. It's just the way it is. I think if you stopped and actually maybe tried to read about them online or... Oh, that's cool. If you actually try to do some research and maybe dig out a bit more information and things like that about them, they'd stand out more. But to me, they didn't because we just didn't have time to do that. So we went to Motoyoshi-cho. I'm going to try and read these out. Tofukoji Temple, Yasaka Pagoda, and Kodaiji Temple. All of those things, all great. Carried on getting those stamps that I mentioned about, the seals, got some charms, walked around, lovely views, lovely buildings. Tons of tourists. Just putting my notes here. Tourists! There's this one particular street which I think is quite famous. Maybe that's near the Yasaka Pagoda. But that was just hideous. It was not enjoyable because, well, you couldn't see anything. Yeah, you were kind of like, it was like a flow of water and you were just pulled by the crowd. If you tried to stop dead, you would be run over. Like a stampede. So yeah, a little bit. That's why I didn't really vibe with Kyoto very much, to be honest. But maybe, and we didn't even go during like a peak. If we'd have went during cherry blossom season, oh my god, it would have been... I dread to think what it would have been like. Like, yeah, October is I think any time, really, Japan is going to be busy, but I would have thought maybe October would be a little bit better, but I don't know. I really don't know. This is cool. Magic spouting out of the crystal. The last temple, I've separated this one. The last temple we went to that day was Kiyomizu Dera Temple. Butchering that. Let's see if we can send a voice message to Red Star. Hey, Red Star. Can you hear this? I'm going to send you a message. Hello. I'm currently recording a video talking all about my holiday to Japan. Now, let's start this again. That was bad. Let's do this again. Oh, no, wait. I'm already recording. Hey, Red Star. I'm just testing out this voice message feature. I'm just recording an episode yapping away about my holiday. How are you? Send the voice message. Oh my god, that's so cool. Let's do this again. Oh, no, wait. I'm already recording. Hey, Red Star. I'm just testing out this voice message feature. I'm just recording an episode yapping away about my holiday. How are you? Oh, that's so cool. That is such a cool feature. Well done, Lemons, for adding this into the pack. Okay. I don't even need to be near people now to talk to them. So cool. Yes, that's the last temple. Kiyomizu Dera Temple. What? It's quite a famous one because it's built on wooden stilts. Like, it's high up and it's a really, really intricate foundation of wooden stilts, and it is very impressive to see. It's also humongous, absolutely huge. Again, crammed with tourists, but it's nice because it's got kind of like a pathway at the back, and then you can go up the side of a hill, and then you get a nice view overlooking the kind of whole thing, and that the wooden structure underneath as well. So, kind of stands out for that reason, I would say. Can't really remember much else about it though. A lot of these temples and shrines had loads of incense as well, like huge pots of burning incense, and you meant to go and waft it over yourself, again as a sort of like cleansing routine ritual. I know, right? Then it was time to leave Kyoto. So we headed to Kyoto Station. We were going to catch another Shinkansen to Onomichi. Before that, though, we separated a bit because my partner was going to do something, I think buy something. And I was like, you know what? I'm in the station. We got some time to kill. I want a drink. I need a drink. We've done a lot of walking. I want a nice cold beer. Had a quick Google search on my phone. Bars in Kyoto Station. One came up called Man in the Moon. I head there, and it is like an Irish pub. It is very good. It is very accurate. I will say, I walked in, I was like, wow. I have transported back home, and they had Guinness, they had all sorts of stuff. What did I have? I think I just kept it quite simple and just had an Asahi. But really cool. It's like a nice little break and a little bit of normality. Oh, Restar sent us a message.
Okay, I did not know that we had this technology. I'm doing good. Just logged onto the server to try and farm some leather for my stump. Excuse me. I hope you had a good time on your vacation, and now I'm probably gonna go fishing. Woo. While I wait for cows to grow up. So, yeah. This is weird. This is very strange that we have this. Okay.
It is weird, isn't it? Oh, man. It is weird, but I like that. I wonder if you can send it to individual people, though. Or whether your voice message just always goes out to everyone. Who knows? Yeah, so I was in the Irish pub for a while, had a nice pint there. Then we got the train to Onomichi. And by that point, it was quite late. Onomichi is westward. Trying to work out the directions. Westward, kind of between... I'm not even going to try and... I'm going to get the geography terribly wrong. So it was west. And the reason we were heading to Onomichi is because of a particular activity to do, which is the Shimani. No, what is it? Bloody hell. I even wrote it down, but I think I wrote it down wrong. Shimanami Kaido, which is a kind of designated bike ride through the Seto Inland Sea, which is a series of connected islands, all bridged and very pretty. I was recommended this by my manager at work as something to do. So we'd already got sort of like the bikes reserved, and there was a hotel right near the start of the bike ride, which we checked into late that evening, ready for the morning, because we were going to get up bright and early, start this 74-kilometer bike ride through these islands. It was going to be great. It was going to be great. So it's very picturesque. It's like a nice active thing to do, rather than just walking around. And nice just to kind of ride a bike. I'd been warned about how long it is, and it is quite, if you don't ride usually, it might be a little bit uncomfortable, let's say. So did I do any practice? Did I do any training, cycling beforehand? No, I did not. Instead, we just booked e-bikes. We just wimped out and just got e-bikes. So when the going gets tough, you turn on the battery. That's all we did. But yes, we checked into this hotel. Had a nice there's like a cocktail party thing going on there, just so happened. So we're like, let's go for a cocktail. And then we went to bed, ready to get up bright and early. So then we move on to day 12, the 25th of October. And oh my God, did I leave my... Oh no, there it is. This was a day. This bike ride. So yeah, Shimanami Kaido bike ride. Not really much to say about the bike ride itself. It's all really clearly... Oh, I say that. I did get lost a couple times. It's mainly clearly signposted. You just follow a blue line. There's a blue line, and it goes all the way from the start, all the way across the islands, across the bridges, and then you're at the end. So it goes from Onomichi. The end point is Imabari, which is at the bottom. And then, yeah, you can do what you want. So... we got the bike, we got our helmet on, got our water, got our snacks. We didn't have... a lot of people say to do this over 2 days. We were doing it in one. So we were conscious that we didn't want to spend too long stopping and taking photos, and you can't really detour very much. There's a lot to see on this bike ride. If you do it over multiple days, you can actually stop at a hotel, go and look at some of the shrines along the way, really get into it. We didn't have a chance to do that. I was, very much ride. Start at the beginning, get to the end. Still really nice though. And it started off with lovely weather. We got the ferry across with our bikes, and so it began. And it was lovely. Like, it was just, it was a mix. To be fair, it was a mixture of nice scenery, and then sometimes you were just going through this really small town with not that much to see. But when you got to the nice scenery, oh my goodness, was it nice. Just seeing all these scattered islands in the distance, the sun shimmering on the water. All these really cool bridges. The bridges themselves looked really cool as well. Different designs for the bridges. So, yeah, started off really nice. The e-bike was a godsend. I do not think I could have done this bike ride without an e-bike, to be honest with you. It just made it so much easier. I didn't actually, as I'll go on to, I got uncomfortable and frustrated for other reasons, but not ever for having to cycle, because stick on the assist mode and there you go, Bob's your uncle. However, about halfway through the trip, halfway through the ride, was having a great time, the rain began. And it began lightly, and we were kind of hoping, we did see the forecast was going to be rain, but we were just hoping, perhaps naively, that it would maybe shower lightly for a bit of drizzle, and then stop. No. Once it started, the gods came down, and we did not have anything prepared. I mentioned before about our bags, having all our clothes in. If they got wet, all our clothes would be wet. Trainers would be wet. We'd be wet. We didn't have any sort of poncho. Nothing. And so about halfway through, we spotted a Lawson's, one of the convenience stores, and kind of made a desperate bit of shelter and work out what we're going to do. We bought some ponchos there. They had I tried to like MacGyver this bag to cover my own bag so it didn't get wet. And we were keen because the bike rental thing, when we picked up our bike in Onamichi, we were going to drop the bikes off in Imabari. The place in Imabari closed at 7 p.m. If we didn't make it for then we'd be stuck with these bikes, and we'd probably have to pay a ton in terms of a late return fee. So we were really keen to get there. It wasn't as if we could just wait out the rain. As it happens, we probably could have waited for an hour or two, because we did get there at like 5:30. But I don't really think the rain would have stopped. So we got as prepared as we could be, having bought these really flimsy, crappy rain things. And the rain just got worse and worse. And riding in the rain, there's some really cool parts of this bike ride where the road is so smooth. You're going so fast down these sections. Because as you go up to a bridge, there's an incline, which is all right. Turn on the battery, boom, you're up. But then you get the benefit where you go down the other side, and you go so fast, and it felt like you're on a Mario Kart track. Screw the Mario Kart stuff I mentioned earlier with the tourist crap in the Tokyo streets. This was like Mario Kart. Going round some of these bends, it was so good. You were just picking up so much speed. When you do that when it's raining, not so nice. It hurt. Like the rain droplets hurt. We were going that fast. And eventually it started to get a bit darker. I wear glasses, and my glasses were so wet I could not see where I was going. We had to ditch following the blue line because that was still on the road. And first of all, you'd just be getting massive splashes by the cars. But also, I was terrified I was going to get run down because the visibility was so bad. Because there was no high vis or anything. It's just, you're just this white blob with a rain jacket on next to the cars. And yeah, it just got miserable. Frankly, it got miserable by the end. Absolutely soaked to my bones. My trainers, stupidly, I bought new trainers for this trip because I wanted to have really comfy trainers. And they were really comfy. But they were like running shoes almost, and they were made of mesh. I mean, frankly, any shoes would have got soaked in this weather, but these ones, every step I took, I felt the foam insole squish like a sponge. It was horrible, horrible feeling. And I was sore from the saddle seat. My shoulders were killing me because my rucksack was so heavy. It was very much a tale of two halves, that part of the journey. First bit was great. Second bit was miserable. I'm still glad we did it. I just wish it was better weather. I would highly recommend it. Just if you were to do that yourself, and if we were to do it again, I would be prepared to cancel it based on the weather and try and rearrange it. It is 100% worth it to wait and do it when it's just going to be the sunshine. Do not do it in the rain. Do not. It's not worth it. Yeah, anyway. So we got to Imabari, absolutely soaked, returned the bikes, got on a train to a nearby city called Matsuyama, because that's where we were going to stay the night. Matsuyama ended up being a humongous city, not really realising how big it was. But it was dark, so we didn't really do much that evening. Did we even go anywhere? Oh, well, we went and tried to dry our shoes. We went to a laundrette and tried to use one of the sneaker cleaners to dry our shoes. Did not work. Bunged them in the dryer instead. Helped a little bit. But after that, we just went and got a curry at the... What's it called? Coco... Is it Coco Ichiban? Ichibanya? Yeah. Coco Ichibanya, which is a curry chain restaurant in Japan, but also in other places now. I think there's one in London. Very good curry, kind of similar to one I mentioned before in Akihabara. Do it all on the screen, and loads of chicken, loads of sauce, loads of rice. Lovely. But after that, we were done. As you can imagine. I mean, how many... What is 70? I think it was 74. Let's just say 74 kilometers to miles. 45 miles. It's quite far. Even with an e-bike, that is still quite far to cycle. So we were knackered. So we just went straight to bed after that. And then afterwards So this is now day 13, the 26th of October. Had a quick breakfast in Matsuyama. And later that day, we were going to head to our last destination on this trip, which was Hiroshima. But before that, we had one thing to do in Matsuyama, which is visit Matsuyama Castle. We had not been to any castles yet. And one of the famous castles that people talk about to go visit is Himeji Castle, which we did not get a chance to do. It's kind of just didn't work out really with the itinerary. So we thought Matsuyama would be just as good. Still a very old castle. I think one of the 7 remaining original castles of the time that they were built. And sorry, having a little drink. And it was really cool. It was really, really cool. It's sorry, my throat's making weird noises. It's definitely something I want to try and build in Minecraft. You know me and my castles. Got a bouncy one. I want to build more. I might try and build Matsuyama Castle on the server. The best thing, well, not the best thing about it, but a really cool start to it was you go and buy a ticket, and Matsuyama Castle is built on a hill, very high up. So you could either get a cable car going up, or you can get a chairlift, like you're skiing. And the chairlift was like a little attraction in itself. It was so cool. Just hop on, up you go, and it was a big chairlift. Can't say I've ever been skiing, so I've never really done that before, so I really enjoyed it. And yeah, got to the top, had a look around Matsuyama Castle. I mean, not really much to say about it, apart from it is one of those typical Japanese castles. It's got those really steep stone walls, stone foundations, iconic roofs, and so many gates and forts and turrets and defences. Really, really cool. Inside was actually a really good sort of museum-esque displays to explain what was going on and kind of who owned the castle, who built the castle. It burned down. I mean, everything in Japan seems to have burned down at least 5 times and then rebuilt over the course of its history. So Yeah, that had been rebuilt like 3 times. And I really enjoyed it. Also, that area of Japan in Matsuyama, very famous for its oranges. So that's the place to go to for orange juice. They were selling orange juice outside the castle. And listen, it was nice orange juice. I can't say it was particularly amazing compared to other orange juice I've had, but it was nice. So if you're going to get OJ, get it there. Anyway, then the reason why we stayed in Matsuyama, apart from the castle, is one other thing that we didn't get a chance to do in Matsuyama. One thing it's probably most famous for, apart from the castle, is its onsen. It's like the original onsen, Dogo onsen. And any Studio any Studio Ghibli fans will recognize it because it's the one that's the one in Spirited Away is based on visually. Kind of looks like that. I mean, it's a bit of a hodgepodge of loads, but that's the one it's mainly based on. So that's very much a tourist place. We didn't get the chance to go. It's just a little bit too far out of the way, unfortunately. But would have been nice. Would have been nice. Let's put this back on so I don't die. And then, what did we do after that? So then we got, Oh yeah, so Matsuyama has a ferry that goes straight to Hiroshima. So that's why we stayed there as well, as that was our next stop. So we got a superjet ferry to Hiroshima, which took about 45 minutes. There was like a slower car ferry that we could have taken for cheaper, but it took 2.5 hours, and we just needed the time. Like, we're getting towards the end of the trip. We do not want to waste time, so we just paid more. I say paid more, it was expensive. This ferry was like £45. Crazy. Everything else up till then had been quite cheap in terms of transport, but that was very expensive. Anyway, then we checked into our hotel in Hiroshima, which was at the Riga Royal Hotel, an absolutely behemoth of a hotel. Now, obviously, kind of goes without saying, but everything in Hiroshima is newly built, as in from the 50s onwards, because it was bombed. This hotel must have been built in actually we looked it up because it felt really old, like it was from the 70s, but actually it was only from the early 90s. Unfortunately, it's probably the worst hotel we stayed in the whole trip, for being like the last one as well. It was just, as I say, it was quite old. We did have a non-smoking room, but we're pretty sure it used to be a smoking room because it just had a nasty kind of musty smell to it. And everything was just a little bit old and a little bit dated and a little bit run down. Still, huge hotel and good location, and I think it was fairly cheap, so that was fine. Just one to note if you ever go to Hiroshima yourself. So it was, by that point, it was quite late, so nothing was really open in terms of, we couldn't go to the Peace Museum, couldn't do any sort of activities like that, but we could at least have a wander around. So we went and looked around the Peace Park, that's an attraction in itself, really, isn't it? So you go and you look at the Eternal Flame, you go look at the Atomic Dome, which is that building that is still kind of as it was after the bombing. It's still in a ruin. On purpose, like kind of left like that as a sign, as a memory, which is really cool. I mean, it sounds weird to sort of just say that as cool, but I think, oh god, I'm back here again. It was eerie for sure. I mean, the fact it was dark as well, and it was very quiet. I say that we were at the Atomic Dome bit. Kind of, I was reading one of the plaques outside, kind of the history of it. And there was this big bunch of Japanese salarymen, clearly quite sozzled, being so loud and like joking and laughing. I'm like, excuse me, I'm trying to read about a nuclear bombing, and you're really taken away from the moment. Anyway, so we had a look at that. We had some for food. We had a Hiroshima kind of local delicacy. I don't know if that's the right word. It was okonomiyaki. I don't know how you put the stress, but I'd heard about it before, but it's basically like loads of stuff squished together and fried, like on a base of noodles, like noodles, cabbage, pork, or shrimp, or I don't know, squid, cheese, all sorts, and it's just all squished together. And to eat it, they give you like a little what would you call it? It's like a scraper, like you're de-icing your windshield, but you use that to cut it, and then you just shove it in your gob, basically. And it was nice. It was nice. I had some beers there. It was kind of a bit of a weird. The thing with Japan, one thing to note in Japan, obviously lots of high-rise buildings, lots of skyscrapers and tall buildings, and all those buildings have floors, and on all those floors are businesses. So it's not just what you see on the ground level. There'll be these giant signs with all the things on all the different levels, but it's quite easy to miss that because you're just looking at what's in front of you. You need to look at these signs and realize that there are, for one building, there's probably like 12 businesses in there. You just need to go in and go up. And so for this place, it was exactly that. Like we had to go up these, we had to go in this really dodgy looking lift. It kind of looked a bit grotty, and we were like, oh no, where is this taking us? Is this going to be all right? We're going to get food poisoning? No, it was fine, perfectly fine, and also full of lots of locals, which, or at least Japanese people, which gave me a bit more confidence that it was a decent place to eat at. So yeah, had that, and then because of my Expedia status, I had some sort of freebie drinks vouchers to use at the hotel. So we went back to the hotel. We were pretty tired, and just had a couple of cocktails at the Sky Bar, which is at the very top. Cool views, even though it's very dark. Cool views of Hiroshima. And yeah, so that, oh my goodness. Oh, that was day 13. Day 14 was our last full day in Japan, 27th of October. And you might think, oh, okay, new day. Is that when you did the Peace Museum, the Atomic Museum? No, we had other plans, and ultimately we didn't go to the Atomic Museum, whatever it's called. And I'm kind of glad that we didn't. Now I'm really interested in history and World War II history. I really am. I think I would have liked it any other time. However, it was the end of the trip. It is a very kind of, what is the best way of describing it? It's a very somber topic, right? It's about people getting nuked, and you would see you'd see pictures in there of children burned up and charred corpses and all sorts of horrible stuff when you go in there. And I didn't really fancy that for my last day. Maybe that's a bit ignorant of me, but I didn't want that to be my sort of last day memory of the trip. It's kind of like going to the 9/11 museum. You wouldn't want to do that. Or like, you have to be prepared mentally, I think, for that sort of topic. And I don't think I was. It was our last day. I wanted to have a nice day. So we gave it a miss. Maybe another time. Hiroshima was really cool. Like the least touristy, although there was a lot of old English ladies there for some reason in the hotel. But definitely like the most chill I found in terms of big cities. Less touristy for sure. So on the last full day instead, we went to a nearby island called Miyajima Island, which is quite famous for a couple of reasons. First of all, for its shrines. It's got the floating torii gate in the water. And Itsu Kushima Shrine, which is next to it. It's also got loads of deer. Lots of people go to Nara when they go on a holiday to Japan. On Nara Park, which is a place with loads of wild deer, and you might see a video of people bowing to it, and then the deer bows back. And it's not anything magic or special. It's just that is, it's like Pavlov's dog. That's how it's been trained basically to get food. It just knows if it bows at a human, it's going to get food. So there was loads of the similar sorts of deer all just roaming around this island. I don't think they were bowing, but they were a nuisance. There was one properly chasing this little girl for her ice cream. I was scared for this little girl's life. But it's kind of just a weird sight. You're just walking through and then suddenly, oh, there's a deer there. I didn't really want to touch them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit of a wuss, but I was like, oh, I don't want to get a tick or anything. And they did look a little bit grotty. They looked a little bit scraggly. So I looked at them and enjoyed them from afar. But yeah, so we went to the shrine, Itsukushima Shrine, it was nice. It wasn't the best one though, to be honest. But the thing that we really wanted to do was a really nice hike. So there's a mountain. The highest peak on the island is Mount Misen? Don't know how you pronounce it. M-I-S-E-N. And there's a few different hiking trails up it. And there's one that basically goes through another shrine called the Daishoin Temple. Oh, sorry, temple, not shrine. So we had to look at that one, another temple. And then we did a hike. And it was as I say, there's different ways of going up, different levels of strenuous, different levels of activity. What's the word? Strenuity? Is that even a word? But we picked the easy one, the tourist-friendly one, which is basically all steps. It's all very clearly signposted, all stoned and paved and stepped along the way. And apart from some signs that warned about venomous snakes and hornets. Apart from that, I had a lovely time going up there. My legs were a little bit rough, gonna be honest. A little bit shaky going up so many steps. Just after 2 solid weeks of walking, pretty much. But we did it. We reached the top, and boy, what a payoff it was. It was so beautiful. Honestly, I'll put a panorama on screen or just some photos from the top. It was picturesque and yeah, really, really worth it. It was lovely actually. It was nice to have like a proper hikey thing at some point on the trip. We'd had the bike ride, but not any sort of walking-y aspect to it. So that was really nice to do on the last day. And I wasn't really expecting it to be that nice. So that was even better, kind of as a surprise. It was that good. Yeah. And then we got there was loads of cable cars going down. It was a race to the cable car because it was all these signs saying that the final cable car goes down at 4:30. And if you miss it, then you have to walk back down. And we really did not want to do that. So we were rushing to get this cable car. Turns out everyone else had the same idea. And there was a massive queue. And we were like, oh my God, are they serious about the 4:30 cutoff? Are they actually going to just leave us stranded up here? No, it was fine. I think they would have kept them running until everyone was gone, basically. So had some cool views going down. And then for our final night, we had something to eat on the island, and it was kind of weird, a weird vibe there. So we moved on. Oh, we had these like little deep fried, what was it? Deep fried waffly things. Moji, what were they called? Moji Moma or something? Deep fry. Oh, who knows? Anyway, deep fried things with custard in. They were nice. Headed back to Hiroshima. Last meal, proper meal, was at a ramen. We didn't really have many. We did have another ramen somewhere else in Tokyo, but not a lot. So this was our second ramen of the trip. It was good. We went to another chain restaurant though, called Ichiran. And like I mentioned with the curry place and the whole sort of single diner focused, you go in, you order on a little touch screen, you get your tickets, wait for a seat, which is basically a cubicle. You go in, a little flap opens up to the kitchen or wherever it is, a serving area, and you put your little tickets through. Flap closes, give it a few minutes, flap opens, there's your ramen. Oh, and before that, you'd filled out a little bit of paper with how you'd like your ramen. So, how soft do you want the noodles? How rich do you want the broth? Spring onions, pork, what do you want? Stuff like that. No social interaction at all. It was great. And yeah, it was nice ramen. So, nice way to end off the trip and the night. Even though, I was sat next to my partner, we couldn't actually talk because there was a screen in the way. But kind of fun. Kind of fun anyway. And that was it for the last full day. Day 15 and 16, 2 days, that was a travelling back. And all I'll say for that is it was the same as we got there. Shorter flight to Hong Kong, layover in Hong Kong, massive flight back to Heathrow, London. I did actually sleep a fair amount on the flight back, but it wasn't good sleep. It wasn't high quality sleep. It was barely just sleep. So still knackered, still kind of adjusting back to a normal sleep routine, even today. But and I watched Heads of State and Beetlejuice on the plane. Heads of State is a John Cena and Idris Elba. Really fun movie. Definitely watch it. It looks so cheesy. I think it's on Amazon or Netflix. Looks really cheesy and bad. Actually, very fun. Very, very surprising. And Beetlejuice. That was good too, but a bit weird. I guess it has to be weird. It's Beetlejuice. Anyway, then we finally made it home, and that was it. That was it. A 2-week trip gone by in the blink of an eye. And it really has felt like that. It has felt almost, as I said before, like it didn't even happen at all. That's why I'm recording this. Mainly for my own benefit. I did do that. I've got the photos. I'm saying this now. It was an amazing time. Absolutely amazing. My first time in Asia, in the Asian continent. Just so many familiar things in a weird way, but just such a kind of alien world too, in terms of how things work and the culture and things like that. Yeah, highly recommend if you can ever get the chance to go to Japan. Do it before they start charging even more for tourists to go. I think they're already in the process of like upping the tourist tax because people are complaining, locals are complaining. But yeah, I think we could easily go again for another 2 weeks and do completely different things. I mean, that was all in the southern part, right? There's a whole other area. There's like Hokkaido and Sapporo and all that sort of stuff. Like, there's just tons of places to go to if we were to go again. However, I am not ready for another 20-hour flight, so I will not be doing that anytime soon. Thank you very much. Other weird things just to quickly mention at the end. Japanese people, obviously they bow a lot, so be prepared to do kind of nodding, small bow, bigger bows maybe. In terms of language, as I say, I did not learn, kind of bad, but I did not learn much for this trip at all. I basically learned thank you. That's all I really had to use. I think obviously it would have been better if I could have said more. I think it would have been a bit more respectful, and maybe I could have gone a bit further with some discussions. But you really don't need to stress about learning Japanese to get by, especially in those sort of areas. Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Hiroshima, like they will understand you. The only trouble I had was trying to talk to one of the hotel employees about borrowing a luggage scale because we were trying to weigh our luggage on the return flight. Did not have a clue what I was talking about, and stupidly I should have just used Google Translate and I didn't. So anyway, other things to mention: Japanese people do not wear shorts. They just don't. Japanese men do not wear shorts. If it is hot and you see people wearing shorts, they are tourists. I don't know why. Don't know why they don't want to show their legs, but they don't. So just a note, they don't wear shorts. They do not wear sunglasses, which is bizarre because it's just so bright sometimes. But yeah, never wear sunglasses. You'll notice. No sunglasses. Only tourists and foreigners wear sunglasses. Other things to note, definitely get a travel... If you've got an iPhone, you can get a Suica, which is their sort of travel card, Oyster card thing. You can get that on your iPhone as a sort of tap thing. Definitely do that. So useful, so quick, so easy to top up your balance and just spend it. You can use it on buses, trains, trams, most forms of transport you can use it on. So very, very good. And what else would I say? I'd probably say in hindsight, maybe don't try and do as much. I wish there was a few more days where we just sort of wandered around some streets, took some back streets, didn't really have a plan of where we were going and just come across some things rather than having a strict itinerary. I think that might be something for a future trip. The more you go, the more you can do that, and kind of stress less about fitting everything in. But yeah, I think don't try and cram too much in, because it will just come back to bite you, and you're stressed too much about getting from place to place rather than actually enjoying the places themselves. So yeah, as we spy on Red Star over there in the distance, where have they gone? Never mind, they've gone. I just saw them. I'm going to leave it there for what was that? Maybe 3.5 hour video podcast. It's a podcast. If you watch me just tour the server 17 times, you're a fool. You should have just listened to me instead. But I'll say again, this is really just for my own benefit, just to document this sort of stuff and my thoughts and feelings before I inevitably forget it all, because I'm old and forgetful. But yeah, any questions about Japan, leave them in the comments. I will try and answer them and maybe give some advice or what have you. But yeah, amazing trip. I'm ready to go on a cruise. I want my old familiar cruise back again, but going to Japan was incredible and highly, highly recommend. Anyway, I'll be back in another episode, a more normal episode where we'll go and do some Not Losers Club stuff, do some more builds, do some actual Minecraft stuff rather than just walking around and talking. So yeah, until then, thank you all very much for watching, and goodbye.